What up, everybody? What up? What up? Welcome back. Welcome back. News at noon. We got it. We got news, and it's noon, and you guys are going to tune in and hear the latest. How we doing? What up, Zero? I had a good safety meeting before the stream, too. Needed it. Needed it, especially like right now with all this like unknown going on. Like, what the hell is even that? Going from like 100 miles an hour, 150, to like absolutely slowing down and being where we're at now. Hello, what up, Marilee? What up, Misfit? Hello, Zero. What up, Lexi? Are there any protests going on? There is a protest outside the St. Paul courthouse, I believe, for Georgia Fort today. So that's going on. But in terms of like a regular protest, this you got the one at the Whipple building, and that's about it. The one at the Whipple building is the consistent one. You also have the Indigenous prayer camp that's going on, but you had to go. It's not like rah rah like signs and chanting and stuff. Like, no, it's very, very tranquil. It's a place to kind of be calm and sit by the fire, or the multiple fires now, and you can go and do that too. So you got that, and you got the Whipple building likely, but like I don't know. I just sitting up there. There's other things that I can cover and that's happening when the protests, are like yesterday we were at Stewart Park in Minneapolis, and that was a great protest to be at. Also at the end, I didn't realize that Dave Chappelle was at the Alex Pretty Memorial. I mean, I think he had to, as soon as we got there, he had to have been right on the other side of it, and I just didn't notice him. But Dave Chappelle did a show in Minnesota yesterday, but he was at the Alex Pretty Memorial as we were getting there yesterday, because I watched his video on Instagram. Let me see. I know the Star Tribune had posted it. Hello, everyone. Hello, thank you for the stars. Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, he had a show, too. I got invited by a few people to go to it, but I'm like, going out and about is few and far between for me right now. Like, I would like to. I don't even know what that's like anymore. Like, if I do, I have to force myself. Or was it? I swear Star Tribune was the one that posted it. You know what? It was Carol Evan. It was Carol Evan. They were the ones that posted it. Yep. You feel like Dave was grifting? I mean, he wasn't making himself the center of the situation. When people are making themselves the center of the situation, then they're absolutely doing that. But no, he was like off to the side and didn't even say shit. So Dave brought flowers to Alex Pretty Memorial, and he was there as we were getting to the memorial yesterday. We already got some pretty good does that make you feel cool? Does that distract you from the fact that your president's a pedophile? Right? Is that the new fun saying to do? That sucks. If you guys haven't noticed, that MAGA and anything that like the troll culture has become just be an absolute piece of shit. Like, trolling, you don't have to be like an absolute piece of shit to do that. Sometimes you can be if it's like punching up at the right person. But like, if you haven't noticed, like the the opposite to everyone else right now is just to be an absolute subhuman. And that's crazy work. I mean, that's just where it's at. You used to have to like be at least intelligent and be like, hey, yo, yeah, but the Dow. Yeah, there you go. They do like what Pam Bondi tried to do at the Senate hearing. That's what MAGA, well, and Republicans used to do when they'd have to go against everyone, is they'd have to hit you with some economic bullshit, and then you wouldn't know what the hell that meant, and then you'd go, oh yeah, you're right, my bad. and that's what Pam Bondi tried to do. But everyone, you can't do it now. It's too late, especially Pam Bondi, who's had the Epstein files on her desk for so long and gave out binders to people and told them, there you go, there's your Epstein files. You can have your files. And then gave them MAGA merch and told them to go about their day. That was wild. I'm not forgetting any of that. I don't know if MAGA, because it's like such a short-term memory situation, or lack of memory, I guess. You just think that the entire world and everyone else isn't like, we remember all of that. That was just last year now. Yeah, that was just last year. They got binders. She had the files on her desk, and then they didn't have no files. And then Trump said, "Why are we still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?" That's a quote too, by the way. He said that verbatim. And then nothing happened. And then it took Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna to do some bipartisan, both sides politics, and got that thing through the Congress. And it's still not good, because I'm still paying attention to that a little bit. Hard to track multiple world news stories at once. I try, but it's very difficult to do so. That's why news agencies have giant multiple, or now they're getting smaller and smaller now, but they had lots of people, big newsrooms, to do all this stuff, because it's a lot happening. But I'm only one person. We are growing. So I got good news for you guys too, by the way. Anything that happens in Minnesota for now, all right, anything that happens like ICE protests that happen in the home state of Minnesota, I'm going to send it to Jordan, be like, yo, from Status Coup, and be like, hey, Status Coup, do you want this? And then they're going to go, and then they'll decide if they want to stream it. And if they do, new Status Coup streamer right here, you guys. So that's cool. I'll still get to do Mercado Media, so you guys will still get a stream here, obviously, but it'll probably have the Status Coup watermark, or at least, we'll figure that out. It was like on Midas Touch, because Midas Touch did the same thing, and like they had Status Quo's whatever. I don't know. We'll figure that out. It's not a big deal. It's really not, like, so we'll figure that out. But either way, though, any streams I do for Status Quo in Minnesota will also be here too. So don't even worry about that. It's not like, I'm like, it's fine. Like, Jordan's awesome. It's not that hard to figure out, especially with independent media right now. We're all on the same, well, at least we're on the same page. At least the group that's been here in Minnesota is on the same page. We're on the same wavelength. Other cool news, likely on Saturday, because I told them that that's when I'm available. But if not, it's up to them, I guess. But I'm going to be on a podcast and a live stream on their social media, and it's going to be on Steve-O's Wild Ride podcast. So on Saturday, I'm likely going to be chatting with Steve-O, and that's cool. It's fun. I was telling my team, like, it's fun professionally communicating with Steve-O on email. And that's very interesting after everything I've seen. But yeah, I think I'll be able to connect with him, because he's in recovery. I am too. And yeah, so I'm going to be on a live stream with Steve-O on likely Saturday, if that's when they're available. And I'll tell you guys more about that as you can. I think it's going to be on their Facebook page. So this is their YouTube channel. It's going to be his Wild Ride podcast. I think it's his Facebook or his social media. He put it in the email. It's fine. I'm more comfortable on a live stream no matter what. So that's pretty cool. You said, who is Steve-O? Oh my goodness. No way. There's no way. I refuse to accept that question. I'm not either that old, or you're not under a rock. Absolutely not. All right. Really? You don't know who is there? Please, you guys know who Steve-O is, right? Or is it just because we worldwide audience? Worldwide audience? You don't know? Oh boy. Oh, well, there he is, Steven. Hey, I'm older. He was on a very popular series that came to the theaters, called Jackass, and they did pranks. but every single one, and it sounds like nothing now because that's like the internet, but it was a worldwide phenomenon when every single one would come out, or at least a nationwide phenomenon. I don't know if the rest of the world was watching them, but every single like Jackass movie that would come out was like sold out, and everyone was talking about every single one. And back before memes were a thing, that movie, those movies were memes, and people would quote the skits from them forever, and that was like, yeah, and like that would be that's like what people do on the internet now, but that was such a thing back in the day. So that's gonna be cool. I'll let you guys know. Join the Discord server. I'll talk about it like here and there during the week, but I'll make sure you guys can tune in because apparently it's gonna be a live stream, so you guys can like hang out in Steve-O's chat and Steve-O's community. I don't even know what that looks like, but maybe some of you guys are in it. All right, so from Bring Me the News, all right, we're going to go through some of the news today on the Metro Surge that's still going in Minnesota, okay? After hearing from other people in rural Minnesota and the suburbs, ICE is still operating significantly. And in the Twin Cities, people are still seeing them. It's not at the scale it was at and the level of violence that we were seeing. I mean, you had federal agents chasing people. You had them tear gassing and flashbanging people. I still have. Hold on. I actually have some footage I haven't even uploaded yet. No, it's not on that one. I got it around here. We should actually go through that. It was from my Sony camera, the first one, because I was out there recording. Oh, yeah, it's right here. So I want to show you guys what I mean and like how it's like not like it's not over, but it's not at the level of violence. Uh-oh. Unplug the flash drive in. Well, unplug the flash drive in. Okay. All right. Let me see here. I don't think I've used this one, so I got to figure out how to open the thing here. Let me see here. No. Well, I might have to figure this out off stream and then show you guys here. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Nope. Network. No. Oh, it's just gonna make me log in. No. Why aren't you working? Damn it. I don't know why it's not picking up my. Hold on. It's not picking up my drive. Okay. Well, if I can't get this to work, I'll figure it out. Guess I'll figure it out off stream. Okay. Well, well, shit. Well, anyways, yeah, I got a bunch of footage like from the good camera, well, the A6400, and when Border Patrol was out in the streets. Obviously, you guys saw a lot of that on stream, but I have higher quality video too, because I was just hitting the record button. I mean, it was wild work what was going on in the streets. But ICE, they the thing is, Tom Homan said that the operation was ending though, and it's like not. Okay, just because like we're not seeing the scale of violence that we were, and it was just like people were afraid to just even leave their house, which some people still are, but ICE is still operating in the Twin Cities, and they're still operating in the suburbs and the rural areas. People are telling me every day. Every day, I'm probably gonna go back out there again this week, not stream, but I'm gonna go back out there with people that are people that are still seeing them out there, and then I can try to get that and show that on social media at least, because I'm not gonna be out there streaming no more. That's done. I think I'll be out there streaming protests and anything that like that. But in terms of like the dash cam stream, I'm not gonna do that. I'll just take video and then I can like blur observers and stuff in the post edits. Okay, so from Bring Me the News, they're still following Monday's developments from the Trump administration's immigration enforcement operation in Minnesota. So the big news from this morning, I guess, is that Trisha McLaughlin is reportedly leaving DHS. So per Politico, DHS spokesperson Trisha McLaughlin is to leave the Trump administration. Another one. And this is going to keep happening, just like in the first term. Okay, just like in the first term. It's going to just continue until it's just like Stephen Miller and probably Rubio and and Trump and his billionaire and his billionaire friends. Elon will be back. No, he's kind of has been back already. We'll have was he the other guy? Whatever, all the billionaires. They'll still be in the cabinet. One of the Trump administration's most vocal defenders of its aggressive immigration crackdown is leaving as public opinion sours. Told you guys. Even though I get it, like in Minnesota right now, it's like because people are still seeing ICE and the operation's still going. It's not the ICE is not left. The politics of it is really bad. It's not good. Like on like outside of Minnesota and like what the country is thinking about this, it is not good. They do not support. The majority does not. You're having ICE out chants at wrestling events or fuck ICE. It's like everywhere right now. So she's gone because again, like I told you, MAGA works off of this and this alone. Public opinion, nothing else. Just they need public opinion so they can enrich the billionaires, and that's it. And then obviously Trump himself. Nothing else. Have you voted for this dude thinking, well, you're getting your absolute fascist deportations? Yep, you're getting that. I mean, Trump is connected to Israel, so you bombed Iran last year. I don't care if you don't support Israel. Trump supports Israel, and you should have fucking known that. So you got to bomb Iran, and we almost went to another war. That happened. He didn't end Russia's invasion of Ukraine. That's still going. He said that was going to end in 24 hours. Oops, that's still going. So MAGA works off of public opinion. It's just been like one just absolute fuckery after another. Last year they were able to do a lot of bad things. You got your NGOs stripped of funding because that's also in Project 2025. So all of the NGOs last year when Elon was running Doge and just like ending public programs, yep, that was part of Project 2025. And MAGA didn't care about that. There was massive protests in response to this, obviously like record-breaking consistent monthly protests that I was covering last year in response to that. So that was like the first phase of the fight, right? Was the public programs and the federal employees losing their jobs, hundreds of thousands of workers. So that was like what sparked the massive protests, was like, whoa, working class and our jobs, and we were supposed to have affordable groceries, and that didn't happen, and it still is not happening. And also, you're supposed to end the war, but yet we're bombing Iran for Israel, and Russia's still invading Ukraine. Like, what's going on? Right? And then last year, it was when the Epstein files really kicked in, and also these federal raids. But there was, if you were following independent media like Status Quo and Mercado Media, you guys knew about the raids. Or Amanda Moore has been out there, Ford Fisher, Aaliyah, Scooter Cat, like all the independents have been covering the raids since last year, since a long time ago now, over a year now. So if you guys have been following them and me, you guys have been seeing those. But now because like Operation Metro Surge has become like the final opus of the fascism that they're conducting now, you can't work with it because now the entire country is against now the federal raids too, because they were happening last year. And now because Minnesota was so bad for the Trump administration, they can't even grift off that. No more videos. Remember how many DHS edits were coming out last year? I don't even know if you could find them now. DHS. I mean, maybe you see DHS Chicago. The edits were just coming out. I don't know. They were doing like videos, and they were doing them here too. But like they if you haven't noticed, they posted a lot last year. They did a lot more here in Minnesota. Like they were in Chicago heavy for sure. They did that big raid at the apartment building. They didn't conduct a massive raid like that here. They did it a couple, I think a couple factories, but not like at a massive apartment building. I was worried. There's some specific buildings in Minneapolis. I thought they were gonna do another, like the Chicago raid that they did with Black Hawk helicopters, and like it was such a deal. And they didn't do that at least, but they murdered 2 Minnesotans and tear gassed and flashbanged everybody every day anyway. So they got plenty, but like they didn't, the edits, like Bovino was posting some. He was posting his like walking through gas stations and Chino. He's like, let me see here. See if we can find a Bovino edit. He posted them all the time. Like that was his whole thing. I don't know. He's not supposed to be he's like, I don't know. He got his Twitter account back though, so he's been posting again. Oh, here you go. Yeah, this dumb shit. What the So if you're wondering why like I need a mental break and shit and like I'm just losing my sanity, this is why. Because this little gremlin was out there, and then like on social media he's posting this cringe ass shit, and it's just the worst. It's just the worst. And then how can you whatever. Okay. Where's some of them he was posting like in the midst of it? Did he delete those? Oh, here you go. This is the last one, January 23rd, the mean green. Yeah. Gas station. There you go. Told you. Every one of his videos had some gas station. You go there and terrorize. They would go there because he wanted a energy drink and just go terrorize anyone that was there. Any black or brown person that was at the gas station in that moment, they were getting like detained and taken away. Like if it was just a bad time to be at the gas station. Anyways, so that was the last date he did some shit like that. But they were doing that all the time in Chicago, in Louisiana, in South Carolina. That was just like the videos, because that's their audience is fucking. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna keep it 100 with you. MAGA is a fucking scrolling, quick attention span. That's why this shit's 21 seconds long, first and foremost. But also, they need their videos. They need their edits. Oh yeah, what's the context of this group out there? Like, who's that group over there? Oh, big scary group. Meanwhile, I was out there. I was probably over there streaming. I think that's me right there, streaming this crowd, and like the majority. This is before the fences were up, and they were just standing there, and then holding signs. I had so many people I knew personally that was out there, because obviously I live in Minnesota, and they were like, I want to go see what this is like, because like the federal government is like right there, right? And like they're just absolutely just putting munitions on people every day. So obviously the edits weren't cool either, because that was the last one they did. And because like I told you, it was just constant. It was edits consistent. Here's another one. There you go. He stopped. Like January was like the last. I mean, I guess on his account, because also he got told not to post anymore. So, but he's been posting. He's been replying to people. But it was just, this is 45 seconds. I still see that sign out there. So what's funny is that sign is still in the protest, and Greg Bovino is not. I just want you guys to know that. I think actually that sign, and whoever sign that is, that was literally there yesterday in Minneapolis. I think it was. So that's interesting. Only you can do. Wow, a press person.
seem right.
Also with these videos too, I think they're going through litigation for many people that have appeared in them that have done nothing. But they're obviously, the connotation with these videos is that like anyone that is opposing Border Patrol is a terrorist, which is why they labeled Alex Pretty that. And we'll get into that too, because people have been asking on Alex Pretty. I got the latest on that coming up in a second. But I think in multiple cases, actually, especially in Chicago. Now, let me see. Hold on. Chicago border. There's two people in the press that lawyer shot. Damn, they were press members and they were put in one of these DHS videos. Damn it, dude. I've been terrible at bookmarking, whatever, because I haven't been using this app. I'm not gonna lie. I've been on X so much less, and it's been so much good. Because this app is just terrible. It's the worst. But yeah, so there were two members of the press in Chicago outside of Broadview, and they were put into one of these DHS government edits and then labeled as like a terrorist, and now they got hopefully some some stuff coming their way. Hopefully. Based. And like these make this makes the people that have, especially since now that this only resulted in him being fired and getting removed from Minnesota. Like everyone that's in these videos, like based win. That shirt's cool too. Like, and he's wearing a T-shirt, and it was January 17th. Yep, that was their whole deal. Like, every day they had some stupid fucking video. Oh, there's Amanda. And there's Amanda again. Wow. Oh my god. Oh wow, it's so cool. Oh my god, Border Patrol maxing. The amount of aura that's seeping through the computer screen. Oh yeah, put the helmet on. There you go. Masks into the vehicle is woke. Putting on tactical Kevlar is absolutely based. Yes, we do that in the vehicle in the United States. Yep. And they also wear a mask too. So they already have a mask on. So it's like also put tactical Kevlar on, like you're playing Arma. Yep. So dressing like Armory Forager, for sure. But why is that patch? You can wear your patch over another patch. That makes sense, for sure. Covering your seal. Yep, you can do that. We could do that in the Army. I could show up into the formation with a patch covering my. Actually, I could show up with like my patch hanging halfway off of my sleeve onto my unit patch, as like, hey Sergeant, I just kind of wanted to try this. What do you think? And like they were so cool with it, and I got promoted. So yeah, that guy is obviously gone. He's back in El Centro or in a hotel room drinking his day away because he's not here anymore. But I'm showing you guys that because all of that was like what they were farming fascism off of it, and their MAGA fucking followers were loving it at first. So don't let them. They obviously hate it now, but they were all for it up until Minnesota. They were like, hell yeah, this is so cool, because it wasn't just Bavino, it was DHS in Portland or in other, like, how many DHS videos in Portland were there? And then I went there because Trump was like, this is World War II in the streets of Portland. And I went there. It was like the frogs and people wearing costumes, and then like a little fascist corner that started, and the weird shit. And they're still out there. Like they're like zombies just walking through the protest. No one cares about them anymore. So, and talk about like the MAGA streamers that developed. So that all happened, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And then obviously Broadview as well. DHS was doing videos in Broadview. Let me see if I can find just DHS. Doing what there you go. Amanda caught him doing content creation in Broadview. They have their cameras up.
Armored vehicle there to clear up.
This was last year in Chicago. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys are paying attention to the federal raids going into from last year. Just literally, they're doing nothing but making content. And then they were doing that here in the Twin Cities too. Before, like, and then they murdered Renee Good, and then obviously Alex Pretty, and then it was like, oh, we can't do videos no more. We can't do our populism, fascism. We can't do our content anymore. Damn it. Then it's bad. Okay, so I'm telling you guys all that. I can't find the videos now. Did they delete them? Did they delete them? There's no way. Probably. They probably did. There was similar. That one. There's no way I have them saved. No, it's too far. It's too far away. This is MAGA.
I just wanna catch my fish, drive my truck, drink my beer.
That's them right now watching the stream.
Not wake up to all this stuff I don't wanna hear.
I want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Stop telling me good stuff. And this is also MAGA too.
Are you running in fear? Did this turn out the way you wanted it to?
No.
No. Are you running in fear? Anyways, so I can't find the DHS videos, but like I know on stream last year we went through them all. If you guys can find them, put them in Discord and tag me. Here, let's do that. Help me out. If you guys are better at searching videos than I am, because I suck at searching for videos on that platform, you can post them and tag me in the Discord server, and I'll pull them up. Or on Twitch too. You guys can put links in Twitch. Let me pull this up here. Okay, so if you guys find those, just you can put it in discussion. Or actually, no, put it in the ice. We have an ice section, don't we now? Yeah, Minnesota ice raids. Put it in there. Oh, they're in Chicago, but whatever. You can post it there, and I'll pull them up from there. But anyways, so all of that to be said, public opinion is in the trash. Okay, public opinion on the operation, but like MAGA as a whole. But like that's a whole. I can do a whole stream on that, but I mean, on Operation Metro Surge and ICE in the Twin Cities is absolutely in the gutter. Okay, which obviously this doesn't just happen if things are going well. Okay, I think Christy Noem's probably gonna get fired too. Eventually here. Trisha McLaughlin, maybe that was the first one, and if this still goes bad, because I think they're just regrouping. They gotta, because this isn't done. They got Stephen Miller has a whole plan. He's got plans. He's like Dutch in Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah, he's got plans. And this is probably Christy Noem's like, yo, look it, you're late. Your girl, she's out of there. She's gone. You're next. Keep fucking around with us. Okay, go out there and do the mass deportations and don't make us look bad. That's all they're saying. Because obviously realistically, she's just doing the ice Barbie thing. She's dressing up, wearing outfits. Okay. Hold on. I think we can do this. Christy Noem, ice. Like, yeah, she like dresses up, wears stuff for them, make incels happy. There you go. Like, wears outfits. That's her thing. She goes to play. That was her thing when she was governor too. It's what she campaigned on. Is like dressing up in like different labor jobs and being like, "I'll do it." You know, give me a hammer or whatever. And then she'd be at like a construction site. Let me see commercial. Christy Noem commercials. There you go.
South Dakota is the freest state in America. Now we're making it the safest by putting more police on our streets.
Like me, your governor. And then MAGA and right wing love that. They're like, fuck yeah, dude. Dress up for me. Dress up for me. Don't actually do anything. I just need you in the outfit. Because you know who else? You know who else did this too, obviously? Well, hold on. Well, first of all, was it in the garbage truck? No, what did Putin did it? Putin, what was he at a truck? He was a truck driver. Yeah, there you go. Learn from your father. There you go. This is a classic. Yup. He's a man of the people, chat. Look at that. See, when they dress up and they pretend like they're doing the thing, then that we need that, and then we support that. So Putin did it. Oh, who else did it? Oh, I think their president did it, right? Right? I think their president did. Oh yeah. Oh, oops, he did do that.
250 million people are not garbage. I can tell you who the real garbage is, but we won't say that.
Oh, okay. There you go. That is a perfect metaphor. That was a great metaphor, actually. There were so many metaphors in 2024. And was that the year you had the Tesla truck blow up at the Trump Tower or whatever? Yep. God was giving signs, and these so Christian religious people were not seeing them. They're blind. Oh my God. Well, you pray every day and shit, and God is showing you so many signs. He's giving you signs. Giving it to you. On a platter, actually. God's tired now. He's tired. He's like, I can't show these people anymore at this point. Now it's like, now they have to find out too. Like, goddamn. Crazy work. Okay? And then he went and did the rally he did afterwards. I was literally forcing my subscribers at this time to watch this man's rallies too, just to really drive it home. And it was the worst. Like, I hated myself after every single one.
And I have to begin by saying...
And then like half the crowd left and they were falling asleep behind him. MAGA, I'm gonna vote for that. Look at it. You can see the crowd thinning out already through the video. Remember that. I watched that whole thing. He's using his stupid. And then isn't that the one where the stupid labor union rep endorsed him? Look, he's out there. Look at that. Look at this. Look at, I'm just gonna go out there and do golf moves for these stupid fucking people.
Ask that wise guy questions.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's how you swing a golf. You swing a golf club backwards only. That's crazy. I've never seen somebody do like a fake golf swing. Like, I've never seen someone, and then that's it. So he's like pretending to hit it. I don't know, but yeah, he's like, I'm gonna go dress up. Give me some vest for these stupid fucking people. Give me a garbage, because I think that was when Biden called him garbage or whatever, or MAGA garbage, and so then obviously their feelings were hurt after that, and so then Trump said, okay, well, Biden called him garbage. I'm gonna be the garbage man because I'm their fucking leader. He didn't go, he didn't say they're not garbage. They're not garbage. And then like ignore it. He was like, actually they are. And I'm the driver. That's what Trump said. I couldn't believe it. I literally I'm still sure. Like, it's still like, we're in 2026 now. And we just had obviously we're in the find out phase of this administration. Like, we're deep in it now, and like everything that's happened, but I cannot believe how stupid our fucking country was in 2024. Because we watched all of this. Every day I'd make my chat watch it, and like I bet you my chat even were like, there's no way this dude's gonna win. Like, this was so bad. Because they were LARPing. It was just like fake LARPing, and the speeches were like 3 hours long. And he would talk about the same 3 things for 4 hours and then play videos. It was the absolute worst. It was the worst thing ever. I know a lot of the country did not watch the Trump shit because you were like, because they were still on like post J6 brain. Like, okay, we got to pretend like Trump really isn't like a big deal. And like, yeah, Kamala, hell yeah. And like, hell yeah, let's get Sexy Red out there. Hell yeah, Sexy Red for Kamala. That'll do it. That'll win. And then like meanwhile Trump was doing this dumb shit, and everyone like I knew it because like the country was just not even interested really in 2024. They're like, fuck. But oh boy, is probably gonna be absolute interest now. but it's like probably could be, maybe, I don't know, too late. Hopefully not. I hope it's not, because this dude is had no intention of leaving the he didn't want to leave the first time. He didn't want to leave the office the first time he was president. Like, you think he's gonna leave now? Are you guys actually okay? I mean, hope. We got hope though. Don't worry. Hope for sure. And I guess they like I'm telling you guys, they operate off of populism, and the populism is not there. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what to. I just know the only thing I know is where we're at now, and like everything that we're going through right now is a direct result of Project 2025 and Stephen Miller's plans for this administration. Because Trump himself didn't have plans. He didn't have any policies. He doesn't even know what the fuck's going on. It's Stephen Miller and the Heritage Foundation behind the scenes, and everything. These federal raids, the stripping of the NGOs last year, the federal raids right now, and then honestly the elections, and that's part of it too, and making it very difficult to vote, or making it damn near impossible, is also in Project 2025. So we're gonna have fun with that. I know a lot of people are very excited about their politics, and it's not good for MAGA right now, and it's looking fine and dandy, but so far we're going through everything that the Project 2025 has laid out. I'm just hoping that, because the populism around the administration is so bad, and it really is, and the Epstein files are like the catch 22, right? The one thing that is like the Achilles heel to the Project 2025 and Stephen Miller is the Epstein files, and that's nobody's fault but theirs, because MAGA absolutely made the Epstein files one of their pillars of the movement, of like the pedophile elite. And Trump is going in there to drain this. This is back in the first term, but like this is still part of and they're still holding on hope to it, that he was going to drain the swamp and expose all the pedophiles. But in MAGA brain, they were all Democrats, right? They were all Democrats, and probably people connected to Israel. But like in their brain, that's all they thought it was. But obviously now, as you're like, but I don't know. Anyone with a brain, anyone with a functioning brain has known like Trump has been connected to Epstein for 15 years at least now. Even more so before that, if you're like an investigative reporter, or if you've been following Trump for a very long time. But obviously, most of the country only knew Trump as entertainment guy with the TV show, and then ran for president and ran in 2016. So people have been paying attention for sure since 2016 and 2015 when he first started running. But many people were aware of Trump's connections to Epstein going back to when it was doing it in the act. But because they have such a funding, and obviously it's all the billionaires, they can control all that. They can control the information. They can make people disappear, make things happen, and so through decades they've been able to just get away with it. And then they were like, well, if Trump's going to be president and if he's going to run the country, we got to do something about these connections to Epstein. We can't, like, cuz obviously it's going to come out. And so their whole thing was to put the Epstein files for, like, as like, hey, we'll shield ourselves from it by making it seem like we're the ones going out and going to get them all. Okay, and that's what MAGA has been operating on since like 2015, 2016. Like, they're going to drain the swamp. They're going to go after the pedophile elite, and they're mostly Democrats and liberals and establishment liberal, like Democrats, basically. Oh, and then obviously because brain doesn't work properly and all this blah blah blah, it hasn't happened, and it just continues not to happen because Trump is connected to him, and they had to lay down the lie back 10 years ago before all of this even was exposed. So the Epstein files are absolutely like the Achilles heel right now in the MAGA, and like a lot of their people are falling off. Big politicians like Marjorie Taylor Greene have fallen off. Thomas Massey has a populism behind him, actually, I've noticed. And that's like, you got people that are left wing that even follow Thomas Massey. This is the state of the, okay, whatever. Just Just when you open X, it's just Riley Gaines, who Riley Gaines is only famous in the right wing because she got 5th place in a swim meet. And now we have to deal with her forever. And she's on Fox News now. Some of my family watches her. But I've known her since she lost and then became a right-wing darling. Because you know what? You have to be a fucking loser to be a right-wing star. Actual loser. Because they can grift off of that. They feed off that loser energy. That down bad, looking, let's suckle money out of this forever. That's what they do in the right wing. Yep. Just fucking losers, dude. Anyways, all that to be said, I'm hoping that the populism stays bad. Obviously, when you're seeing people getting removed from their positions, that obviously goes inside with my analysis of how bad it's been. People are not feeling it. I've been talking to people left, right, and center that are against the raids because a lot of people that are conservative work labor jobs. There's not a surprising statement to make, but they've been seeing the federal agents going after their friends, going after their coworkers, going after their workers, if say they own the labor company or whatever. And maybe in their brain, because they don't pay attention actually, but maybe in their brain they really did think Trump was only going to go after the worst of the worst or whatever of like illegal immigrants or whatever. And that absolutely has never been a thing. Right? Yes, they do go after criminals, but they have always gone after working class immigrants and people just trying to start a family. Always has happened. Always, always. But now it's so obviously in everybody's face and it's like in broad daylight and it's happening and they're kicking in doors, going door to door. And it's like, you can't not see it now. Now, obviously, the populism around it and like people are aware of it now. And like the populists of the country are aware of these raids, but and of how bad they've been. But you have so many people in the labor industry that are seeing it too, and I don't know how I really don't know. I don't know, because I guess my diet of media has changed so much and I've transformed how I get my media myself. Obviously I give it to you guys, but I got to get it from somewhere. And it's like it's everything this administration is doing and wanted to do was there. And you should have known that these mass deportations are also going to result in working class immigrants and people that have no criminal records getting deported and getting detained. I just don't like, I can understand, I guess, that people get their news from memes or TikTok, but I don't know if you get that anymore. I don't know what TikTok's doing. It algorithm's bad now, but people are terrible media literacy, terrible media diets. And like, I don't know how you can be right wing and not know what the fuck is even going on actually in terms of like your politics. I come from the right wing. I come from that. Like I keep telling you guys, I voted for Trump in 2016. Yep, I did it. I was young, stupid, and addicted to drugs. I don't know what else to tell you guys. But now I'm older, and I tell you what, when I voted for Kamala Harris last year, I looked at everything the Democratic Party was doing for years about what it is, what it's about, what the vibes are, what the policies are, who's involved, who's the top players within it. I know about all of it now. And in right wing and MAGA, you don't know fuck else other than what Fox News tells you to care about, or Joe Rogan, who he interviews and decides who is the person to pay attention to, or whatever. And you have no fucking idea what's even happening because it's by design that way. It's designed to be that way. It's designed to keep you stupid and not knowing what is happening. And then you turn on your favorite media source that is right wing, but you don't know that because you're in a cult, but it's right wing and it's like lying to you. Okay. But all of this that is happening from this administration was pre-written. It was pre-told. It was in the tablets. Yep. God wrote it on the stone. To himself, he did it, and then he's like, hey, this is exactly what Trump is going to do if he wins and if he takes power again. Good luck. Woo. Then he flew away. And then because our country is so ahead up their ass, no, I don't know. No, Trump said that he doesn't know about it. I don't know. Trump said he didn't know about the project, the 2025 thing. I don't know. It sounds weird. My conspiracies are cool. Project 2025 sounds weird. I didn't make that up, so it sounds fake. Not believing it. Not true. Fake news. Fake. But it's crazy because I feel like this has been a slow moving train for the longest. And now we're like we've been hit by the train and we're like holding on to it. And we're just like riding onto the train now. Where I don't know where it's going to stop next, other than I know we have elections coming up and midterms. That's what I know right now. So I don't know shit. I know that the federal raids are ongoing in Minnesota. In terms of the escalation of violence that we've seen in the streets from Border Patrol and ICE have slowed down. But in terms of their operation, they're still grabbing our immigrant neighbors. They're still going after communities, and that hasn't changed. And then I also know we have midterm elections coming up, and that is a part of their Project 2025. Okay, and like fucking with it, and trying to. But like I don't know how they do that right now. I don't know how they do that because this has been so bad, because the operation has been so bad, and the Epstein file release has been extra bad. This was already bad, and then you had the release of the Epstein files come out on top of this. You know what I mean? So what do you do there other than start a war? Make an existential threat? Like if I'm tapping into MAGA, if I'm like tapping into Stephen Miller's brain, you got to start a war or something. You got to create an existential threat now because you can't undo this, or you can't be like, okay, time to come together. You can't be mid now. So you can only like triple down or quadruple down, and forcing already like people that are kind of like they will still support the federal agencies, or like I don't know, like the military. Well, it's fine to support the military. I'm not saying that, but like for actions and like imperialism, if they've already kind of loosely supporting the ICE operations, and then just now we're like, ICE bad now. I don't like ICE now. I don't think it would be too hard for for the Trump administration to create an existential threat, invade someone, and then say, now we have to fight them, or like they're going to kill Americans. Then these already like susceptible people that just now changed their brain might not be so strong, and they might be like, oh, true, yeah, that's a threat now. That's what we have to care about. You shut up, libs, in your federal agents. We got to care about this thing now. So that's the only thing I can see them getting out of this. Like truly, I don't see anything else. There's nothing else they're gonna do. It's not like they're gonna give us health care. It's not like they're gonna actually like lower the cost of living. They're not gonna do shit for your paychecks or your taxes. What the fuck? What else? Especially this type of administration. They're fascist. They're only gonna do fascist things. So the only thing I can see them doing is starting a war, or starting a conflict, or creating an existential threat that people will forcefully be like, no, don't talk about that. We have to talk and care about this. Because that's the actual threat, and MAGA will have to create it. So, and that could, I don't know, we'll see. Or the other move they do, because they did this when Biden was president, they made the Democrats an existential threat, right? You had Elon Musk go on Joe Rogan and said, it'll all be over if Kamala wins. It'll all end. The world will end. America will be not America anymore if mid-ass cop Kamala wins. You idiots. You fucking idiots. So they could create they could try that again. That's probably what they'll do first. They'll probably do Democrats' existential threat to the country first. But I don't know if that'll work, because I think they'll try that first, and then that will not work, and then they'll do war. And they'll start war with someone, or again create a bigger existential threat. That's likely what I think is going to happen. Or none of that happens, which would be so good, because all that would suck. Would suck so bad, and they just are on thin ice until the midterms, and then obviously right now the Democrats are probably going to sweep the midterms, and it's just they fizzle out, which I just do not see that. I don't see that. I know people are hoping that happens. People are hoping it just kind of like goes away, but it's not. It's not. This is a whole new Trump administration. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. What you guys think is going to happen, because that's all we really can do, I guess, right now, until midterm elections come around, or until another thing happens from this administration. Right now, it's quiet-ish, other than the fallout of the Epstein files and the federal raids. It's fallout right now. So how does MAGA pick up the pieces? How do they? Because they got to pick up their pieces, and they're going to. And then what do they do when they've picked them up? Because he still has power for 3 more years, unless obviously the Democrats sweep both the House and the Senate, and then impeach him, and then you got JD Vance, and then nothing's going to change there. They'll have, if anything, Trump provides like a few layers of his own ego to really prevent like Stephen Miller doing what he wants. If you get JD Vance on there, JD Vance is super cucked, especially to Palantir, especially to Peter Thiel. So like they'll really have like an absolute avenue to do what the hell they want. Because Trump is their man. He's their puppet, but he still has his own like personal ego and his own personal personality that it will prevent some of the things from happening, like some of the super fascist shit from happening. But JD Vance, couch boy, they'll just steamroll him because he has no personality to begin with. Trump, his shit sucks, but for some reason people love watching him rant for an hour. You don't even have MAGA that would watch JD Vance do that. They wouldn't even do it. I don't know. And it's wild, but JD Vance has the aura of the pits of misery. Terrible. Trump is the useful idiot. Yeah, he's a useful idiot, but like I said, he has decades of like showbiz experience, and he's got his own ego that like prevents some of the worst fascist ideas of Stephen Miller from really carrying out. Because like under a true Stephen Miller administration, they don't fire Bavino. They don't like Trump still is moving off of some populism. He's moving pieces around. He's moving people under Stephen Miller. Under what they would he's little, but they really want to carry out ultra fascism. So under that type of administration, they don't give a fuck. And Bavino is still running in the streets, and they're carrying out everything they were, tear gassing everyone, locking up people, labeling them terrorists, like they still have been, but like even more mass incarcerations, but for like anybody protesting and labeled terrorists. Like that's what Stephen Miller wants, and that's what a lot of the right wing, and like you had the Nick Sorter and Cam Higbee, they're influencing for that. Okay, they're influencing for that. That's what I keep telling you guys. If these Democrats do not really come out swinging in the midterms and really have good policies that connect to the working class, you're gonna have MAGA come back again, and they're not going. It won't be called MAGA. Maybe be America First or something, but it'll be even further right wing than it is now, because that's where they're going. They're not cooling out. There's no leaders of like conservatives that are like, okay, we're bringing the temperature down. We're gonna come back to normal conservatism. All of their influencers and their money and all of their power is going further right. Further right. Their candidates that are running for office are even further right wing. They're not middle of the road conservatives. They're not centrist conservatives or whatever. They are super fascists, even to the point where you got one of them talking about the trains on time. What is it? The guy he's running for governor or this guy? His name doesn't even pop up. One of his videos was I'm running to keep the trains on time, which that was Mussolini's thing, right? It was Mussolini, right? I don't know if I can find it. Hold on, James Fishback. Trains. He did a video on this. I don't know. This app is also fucked for videos now. Like when I stream on this app, it doesn't even show my stream. Like it shows it here, but it doesn't show that I'm like there's no post anymore. So maybe I'm just bad at this app is so bad to find any type of videos now. I'm done posting on one of my pages. I bet you I'm done with that app soon completely. Still on it right now. Still got people following me there, but man, it's truly a terrible place. It is so bad. But yeah, it was Mussolini that said that. But James Fishbeck, who's running for office in Florida also. But you had Jake Lang, who is here in Minneapolis, and he's doing his conquest or whatever. I don't know, the incel thing that he's got going on. Something for dudes who don't get any sex ever. I don't know. And he's running for office too. Isn't he a candidate? Isn't this all Florida? Dude, Florida. If you live in Florida, boy. Yeah, U.S. Senate candidate for Florida. There you go. You could have Jake Lang be your senator in Florida. How about that? Yeah, he's still around. He said that the state of Minnesota and Tim Walz's corrupt DOJ has charged him with 5 years.
Charged me with a felony because they're claiming that frozen water was worth $6,225. I
Hell yeah, our water is fucking expensive. You're damn right it is.
believe. And I wanted to say this.
I would have charged him 10 grand.
First of all, to lighten up the whole entire scenario, because I only smashed a certain number of letters. Remember the old Wheel of Fortune? Which one is worth more, the vowels or?
Owen Schroyer hates himself now. I used to, because remember I told you, I used to be right wing. I used to watch this dude and Alex Jones. They had a show. They had a show together. This guy fucking hates himself now. I can see it in his eyes. He fucking absolutely hates this.
You know,
it's yeah, look, he's just, but you have to now because you there's nothing else for you. This is MAGA now. This dude is MAGA. He is the activism around MAGA, and you got to eat that shit now.
No, can I buy a vowel? Is that possible?
You make a compelling case that if they're going to make some sort of a monetary fee here, then you should say, well, now hold on. It should only be however many letters I smashed. If that's the route they're going to.
Yeah, the vowels are worth more, just like Wheel of Fortune.
You might have to call whoever made these ice sculptures and ask them which letters was worth more.
Well, to get things back on the serious note, when
Actually funny, Owen, because Owen, he tried to be serious. But you can't though. You can't be serious in the right wing. You can't be serious. But obviously he doesn't give a fuck about this. But when you're right wing, you have to. He sucks though. Owen sucks. Oh, there's Owen Schroyer. He sucks ass. But I remember him from a long time ago when he was like all about it, and he was on Alex Jones, and he was like, he thought he was like he's gonna make changes and shit. And now to see him interviewing Jake Lang and he's trolling him. He's trolling him there. He's like, maybe they should charge you extra for the vowels.
I read prosecute ICE, I think everybody knows what that means. That means execute ICE. That means they're open.
His face tells it all.
Season.
Dude.
That means go after them and stop them. And that's exactly what Renee Good was trying to do. That's what that Antifa leader Kyle was calling to arms against ICE today. So I thought it was a moral imperative, a duty of mine that I had to go and destroy that, or at least change it to say pro.
He had to go kick over the ICE. We posted that, right? He had to protest the protesters by kicking over the ice sculptures. Where did he? I know we posted it somewhere. They got ICE agents changing a tire. Maybe I just type in jank. That's what I'm gonna call him. Jank. No, who was calling him? One of the influencers was calling him Jeremy. Who was calling him Jeremy? Was it Walter Masterson? He was calling him Jeremy all day. Where's the ICE? If anything, jank. Where's the video of him kicking it over? There you go. The video, because you shouldn't have your feelings hurt by him kicking. Like it got put back, and they're gonna get their money. The video is everything, though.
Ice, baby.
What is the noise? Like he makes noises when he was like, he sounded like a fucking, like a deflating balloon when he kicked the first one. Well, I wish he would have. What would have been funnier is if he would have like fell right there. That would have been, because like you can't do 2 takes. This is a one take thing here.
Pro Ice, baby.
Jesus. So we're charging him, or the state of Minnesota is charging him. So that's also happening. Jank Lang. Okay, so that's another L. That's another L for MAGA. Is Jack Lang came and now he's facing state charges for the destruction of property, and to do it in that manner and then to have that video forever is crazy. Okay, so back to McLaughlin's departure will leave a hole at the department at a crucial time. Oh. Amid a funding lapse for the agency as Republicans and Democrats negotiate potential reforms to ICE. Oh, damn it. She's going to leave a hole there, guys. How are they going to function? DHS did not immediately respond to requests for comment about who will take over. A former top communications aide to Vivek Ramaswamy's 2024 campaign and Ohio Governor Mike DeWine. That's where she got. Oh my God. That's where they got her from. McLaughlin started planning to leave in December, but delayed her departure amid the aftermath of Renee Good and Alex Pretty shootings, according to the people briefed on her exit. Oh, so she was already supposed to leave? They were granted anonymity to speak, but internal personnel matters. In the instance of Good, McLaughlin was quick to characterize her actions as example of domestic terrorism. Oh, that's why she's super leaving. That's why she's out for sure. Because yeah, you can't undo that, and that's gonna. There's gonna be cases. Right? They're gonna have lawsuits against the federal government, they being the Renee Good family and Alex Pretty, and many others. Some of the Trump administration have privately criticized Noam's leadership of the department, which has drawn repeated bad headlines, in part due to the department jumping to conclusions, as we've seen, because they've lied, in the instances of 2 fatal shootings. Trump put border czar Tom Homan in charge in Minneapolis in what some in the White House saw as a rebuttal to Noam's more aggressive approach. You know who did a great video? And also, by the way, these streams are going to get unlisted after. They'll still be on Facebook, and Twitch will still have them. But I mean, this is kind of slop. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'll have somebody do some clips of these streams, and we'll get some videos up maybe. But I do enough like content, like originals, you know, like you guys are seeing what's happening on the streets and stuff, to where I just don't want to like. I want to keep that algorithm growing, and then kind of like that. But I want to, because I want to do shit like this. I want to do shit like this and react to this stuff, because this was excellent. And I can't keep my streams up when I'm reacting to John Oliver, but I can if I'm not going to. So, but you can always rewatch the stream. You can find it in Discord. It'll be unlisted afterwards because it'll get demonetized and probably blocked anyways. But if it doesn't get blocked, then you can find it in Discord always. So you might not find it on the YouTube channel, but if you ever are looking for the News at Noon streams, when we're kind of just hanging out and going through what's going on, you can find those in right here, Mercado Media notifications. You can always click into it and it'll pull up the stream. But if you're just looking on the YouTube channel, you won't see it because it's not going to be there. You can find them in Discord. All of my streams. Okay, so John Oliver did an excellent segment about Minneapolis and DHS as a whole, because I made it, and someone had told me about it because I didn't hear about it, but I made a post yesterday that like DHS should be like abolished, like all of it. You know, obviously people are calling for ICE to be abolished. I say all the DHS, the whole thing, get them out of here. They're gone. There's no way. How do you go back? How do you develop the trust of the American people again? No, you don't have it at all. And you already didn't have it, but because Trump and MAGA and billionaire tech people, they've cucked people into supporting surveillance state shit. But I remember back when I was a young conservative, and there was a lot of conservatives that were not supportive of the Department of Homeland Security, or at least libertarians that are now basically like Timu MAGA. But back in the day, they had libertarians that did consist of people more left-leaning and right-leaning, but they were against the funding or the creation of it because it was created in 2003. I was alive when DHS was created. I was a child. I was 10. Okay, I'm older than DHS. The fuck? I'm old. Most of us are. Most of you in the chat are older than DHS. The whole thing should be fucking gone. It's only designed to surveil us. And now you got AI and Peter Thiel's company and getting its hooks into it, which we already have the cameras out there. That's already been a thing. Now you're going to have AI fucking drones, Terminator shit out there. That's what they're doing. I saw it all in Ukraine. I saw what these drones can do. And that they're going to do the same shit. These companies are going to get that information from war zones and places that drones are used for other things. And they're going to bring it here. And they're going to do it here. And it's going to be wild work. Okay. Under the current structure of the DHS, it doesn't just need reform. It needs to be destroyed. Okay. It needs to, like, whoever takes office needs to just abolish it. Be like, no more DHS. But like, unfortunately, that's probably a pipe dream. That's probably my hopium because they just refunded DHS is shut down right now. But prior to that, they just funded it. They just funded DHS funding. And they just got a shitload more money. DHS shutdown has no clear off ramp. Good. Fuck them. Democrats send counter offer on ICE reforms. They don't. They need to be out. Like they need to be like gone. There's no way. And like you can't reform this. This can't be reformed. The current state of the Department of Homeland Security as it stands, and then it's secret police that operates under it can't exist. It literally can't. And Americans will not trust that.
We have to dive straight in with our main story this week, which concerns what's been happening in Minnesota, from the surge in immigration raids to the killings of Renee Good and Alex Pretty to the massive protests in the streets. And to be clear, for all this administration's talk of paid agitators, the protests there came from justifiably furious locals like this almost absurdly Midwestern man.
By the way, it's funny how John Oliver, who does the news with comedy but also very good, understands the protest better than Ryan Macbeth. I'm letting him forget that. I saw some of you guys I went back there and looked at comments. It's not going good for him. But funny how John Oliver in 26 seconds was able to understand the protests, and you had Ryan Macbeth comparing it to the nascent insurgency. Oh, I couldn't believe it, dude.
You know what really pisses me off is the fact that they detain people, cuff them, and then still beat the shit out of them. They tell you it's immigrants, only immigrants. It's fucking anybody. I have friends that got detained, and all they were doing was fucking driving home from work. What the fuck?
Sounds like you don't fit the definition of the...
No, and I'm not fucking paid to be here like everybody fucking says. What the fuck is that? I gotta work in the goddamn morning, just like everybody else. I'm just here trying to stand up for community, dude. We're all human beings here. I don't give a shit who you are, where you came from, what color you are. It doesn't fucking matter. This is wrong.
Yeah, and you know you are acting like a bunch of dicks when you're provoking that level of response in Minnesota.
That's my boy Chris. He actually just said hi to me yesterday. He's got a pretty big platform on Instagram now. He's more known. Also, by the way, Status Quo and Zach's legendary reporting too over there, by the way.
This is wrong.
Yeah, and you know you are acting like a bunch of dicks when you're provoking that level of response in Minnesota. A state whose whole thing is being Minnesota nice. They put it on merch. Other states couldn't pull that off, especially because Florida nice sounds like a brand of pills you buy from the gas station that makes your heart explode. And I will say, this does seem like a turning point for this administration on immigration. Polls show the majority of Americans do not approve of what's been happening, and nor should they.
No approval. Do not approve. 60. It's probably higher than that. It's probably even more than that, because people that get polled for this, who does that? I don't know. Not me. Let's do a poll. Let's do our own poll. I don't know. I never get asked for these polls. Do you approve of ICE? There you go. Approval poll for ICE. Do you approve of ICE? Yes or no?
Because for all Trump's talk of targeting the worst of the worst, that rings pretty hollow when you see agents doing things like dragging a US citizen out of his house in his underwear through the snow and taking a 5-year-old into custody. It is frankly no wonder anti-ICE sentiment has spread to places that you might not even expect, from Pop-Tarts the cat, who posted video with "fuck ICE" on it, to the subreddit Massive Cock, where users captions dick pics with things like "how hard I get when I think about abolishing ICE," to an AEW match in Vegas earlier this month where this happened.
Now the face in the eyes of the champion.
Excellent. Well done to everyone involved there, from the crowd getting their point across in the perfect way to MJF going full Jim from The Office into the camera. The point is, to the extent they ever had it, ICE and Border Patrol have clearly lost the public's trust. And it frankly hasn't helped to see grotesque clips like this one at Mar-a-Lago on New Year's Eve of Kristi Noem dancing with Stephen Miller. Look, there is so much weird stuff going on in that clip that you probably didn't even notice the Ninja Turtle dancing with Vanilla Ice on stage there. Here is a better angle of Michelangelo being photographed at the exact moment he seems to realise just how many people in that room were mentioned in the Epstein files. Now, I should say, there have been some promising developments this week. Democratic leaders seem to have finally read the public's anger and are currently holding up funds for DHS as a whole as they push for new restrictions on immigration agents. And on Thursday, this happened.
Tonight, Border Czar Tom Homan says the massive immigration...
Okay, there you go. There's like a good highlight reel there of like exactly how bad it was, like on the streets for like weeks. And it was just gas. Just I had my gas mask in my truck, like in the middle, and so did John and Jay. Like they had their shit on, and like we parked the truck, get out, and the fucking gas mask on. It was like 10 in the morning. 10 in the morning on a Tuesday, Thursday. It didn't matter.
Agents, and on Thursday, this happened.
Tonight, Border Czar Tom Homan says the massive immigration operation that's been going on for months in Minnesota, Operation Metro Surge, is coming to an end.
We've had great success with this operation.
All right.
And we're leaving Minnesota safer. There were some issues here.
Definitely so safe. It's so much safer.
And we address those issues. But I'm not going to sit here and say anybody did anything wrong.
Really? Well, first and least importantly, you are standing. Like, you're not going to sit there and say anything because you're...
Yeah, I thought he's going to think he brings it up, but his suit, though. Chat, I mean, I don't wear a suit all the time, but I wore a suit a couple times, and you're not supposed to have, like what is that? Like, the 50,000 he got in the briefcase couldn't, like, fix, like, get a, like, what is that, dude? You get kicked out of a business meeting. Not kicked out, but like they would fucking not deal with you if you like people that wear suits and do that stuff. You can't look like that.
Standing man. But I think it's pretty clear that a lot of people did a lot of things wrong, not least your tailor, because that's...
You look like it's like if you're gonna wear this shit, you gotta wear it. If you wear it, like it's like that, because I know a lot of you don't wear. I don't even wear that. I like wearing a hoodie and sweatpants. But like if you're gonna wear it, you wear it. And you have it tailored and it looks good and this looks like you don't give a fuck. This is giving, I don't care. I have to wear this suit because I have to. I don't care. I don't even want to really be here. I just put this shit on. Because if you're going to do that, wear what I'm wearing. Or like John Fetterman. You can wear a hoodie. You can wear a hoodie and support Israel and be a Democrat fascist. Weird. But beyond that, though, this is crazy work.
Suit looks like you bought it off the rack at fancy press conference clothes for uncharismatic business shreks. And look, I am glad for any drawdown that takes place in Minnesota, if it indeed happens. But even if every agent leaves town, much larger problems are going to remain both there and on the national level, because we are going to continue to see this administration obsessively pursue Stephen Miller's stated goal of racking up 3,000 arrests a day. So given that, we thought for our first show of the year, it might be worth...
Like, that's why we kept telling you it's not targeted raids. Are a couple of them? Probably. Because one of the ones we saw with they just made up the warrant. So who even knows if like the targeted raids are valid? Probably not. But the ones where they have a piece of paper saying a judge signed it, they were few and far between. It was mostly just quota filling, grabbing people. It didn't matter, and they didn't even have a case to give. They didn't even have a case to begin with, or they were here legally and they had their papers, but they were taken anyways because they're black or brown. They're Somali or Latino out in the streets, at the wrong place at the wrong time that day because the federal agents are driving by, and they were just grabbed or harassed. At the very minimum, definitely harassed and like surrounded until that individual had to show paperwork, and then they left. But like that was the very worst, or the very least. The worst was they were grabbed and taken away in the vehicle right there.
Pulling back a bit and talking not just about Minneapolis or even just ICE, but about the massive agency it's a part of, the Department of Homeland Security. Because as you're about to see, a discussion about it, its funding, and the sweeping powers that we've given it is long overdue. So tonight, let's look at DHS. And let's start with its origins, because while you might assume DHS is a long-standing part of American government, it's just 23 years old. It was founded as a response to 9/11, and if you are too young to remember 9/11, and I will pause long enough for the rest of us to experience the psychic gut punch of that sentence. Very basically,
9/11.
In the immediate aftermath of the most devastating terrorist attack in its history, America started screaming and didn't really stop for a decade. And while thankfully the Riyadh Comedy Festival has since healed the world through comedy, and we don't need to be worried about who or what was actually responsible for 9/11. At the time, a major concern was that prior to the attacks, there'd been a lack of communication and information sharing between federal agencies. So the Bush administration agreed to combine a bunch of them under a single banner.
And then watch this. If you're like young and you didn't know how they did this, watch how they did this shit.
To improve.
And that's why a lot of people that were, like I said, conservative, libertarian, we're against it. And this is when Alex Jones was like cooking back in the day. I know it's impossible to see it now, and I get it. And I wouldn't say he's absolutely gone, but back in the day, this was like Alex Jones's bread and butter. It was like the government and their technology and the militarization of the police. Like he would just go off on that all the time, and the Bush, and go directly at the Bush administration because they were doing a lot of shit in the shadows.
Was a nation, but even back then, some felt
the Patriot Act is bad. Yeah,
that was a bad idea, to the point that it was openly discussed in news coverage.
What do Secret Service agents have in common with animal disease researchers? Nothing, except that in 3 months, both will be working for the new Homeland Security Department. An organizational chart they could give a management expert nightmares. 22 agencies, 170,000 workers.
A chart.
The third largest department in the government.
Yeah, so that should probably not exist. That's done. We should be done with that now.
Okay.
Look at that. There's the organizational chart for the structure of DHS. There it is.
It is a little weird to introduce a government agency like it's a new sitcom. What happens when an uptight TSA agent and a laid-back FEMA official have to move in together? Find out in Homeland Security, Thursdays on TBS. But the larger point there...
Bless this mess. I didn't see that. What does that say? It says, bless this mess. Oh my God. Hold on. What did that say? No. Bless this mess. Homeland Security. FEMA.
But the larger point there, that this thing had been hastily cobbled together, very much holds, because all of a sudden, DHS contained everything from the Secret Service to the Coast Guard to FEMA and TSA. But for everything that went in, some key counterterrorism agencies were left out, because DHS had to operate without the investigative, intelligence and military powers of the FBI, CIA and the Pentagon. But don't worry, because remember, they had those pig researchers, so they were pretty much set. Now, as a result, DHS tried to justify its existence in a number of different ways, including by explicitly linking immigration enforcement with countering terrorism. In fact, it was during the creation of DHS that parts of the Immigration and Naturalization Service and US Customs Service were combined to form Customs and Border Protection and ICE, the two agencies that we know and are being terrorised by today. But oversight of all of this was a total nightmare, as the members of Congress that oversaw all of those agencies didn't want to give up control. So DHS found itself answering to around 100 committees and subcommittees, which, as the chair of the 9/11 Commission explained, caused chaos.
Think of having 100 bosses. Think of reporting up this way and that way, trying to do your job, and yet you're reporting to 100 people. It's crazy because it makes no sense.
And now when you have all that still exists, but now you have Trump, and then he's got like Tom Homan undercutting that himself. So it's like, because Tom Homan is just a person. He's not he doesn't have an official role or anything. He's the border czar, made up shit, just like Greg Bovino, Commander Op at Large, made up fucking name. Because in MAGA world they can do that, and you just give them names and say this is what they're doing, and like MAGA will be like, oh hell yeah, we support that.
And you could not do your job under those circumstances.
Yeah, that does make sense. Having an endless cavalcade of rapidly changing bosses would clearly be a distraction. Though I've got to say, you do eventually get used to it. I don't even know which of these companies is going to be my new business daddy yet. It's like a Mamma Mia situation, except less fun and way less sexy. But incidentally, if it is indeed Netflix, sorry for all the times I called your catalogue a who's who of the fuck is this. Loved the ending of Stranger Things, by the way. Very brown. And good luck with Detective Hole. It sounds great. Now, complain.
Netflix is becoming slop, isn't it now? I'm on there. I find myself finding something to watch on there less and less. It's truly becoming, it's like I've seen Netflix grow, and I've now seen it like, it's sad. It's like sad, dude. Because that's what happens when you go capitalist like that. It's cool to own a business and everything, but when you go like turbo capitalism like they did, and you're on that level, all you care about is money and not the actual like the content and what people are subscribing for. Like you just are like, let's suck more money, and then the quality of the product goes away because you're just caring about money only. So it's like Netflix is getting falling off so bad. They had that. Netflix was falling off. It's like falling off twice. It survived a couple times because it wasn't until they started doing original movies that were actually pretty good for a while. Now they're just like here, like maybe once every now and then. But when they started doing their own movies on there and like their own original TV shows, that's when it like had a resurgence again, because it was dying on. It came at first the DVDs, and then that was dying, and then it got streaming, and then you could stream fucking terrible like it was terrible, like garbage bin movies, but like that's what they had. And then finally they had their own original series and their TV shows, and that brought it back now for the past probably 10 years now it's been going. But now it's like I fire up Netflix and it's slop. It is slop on there.
Complaints about the unwieldy nature of DHS persisted over the years, and yet despite that, money kept flowing into it, even as it became known for things like its mass surveillance programs, particularly of American Muslims, and its widely mocked color-coded terrorism threat chart, which never dropped below yellow. It also became notorious for its willingness to distribute billions of dollars to state and local authorities. In fact,
you ever find that interesting how it has never dipped below yellow? We've never been green, or we've never been like good, because they can't, because then that would mean that they don't get funding anymore.
10-year anniversary of 9/11, one California news station compiled just some of what that money had been wasted on.
Marin County received more than $100,000 in surveillance equipment to protect its water treatment system from terrorist attack. 4 years after the money was handed out, state authorities found $67,000 worth of gear still in boxes. It had never been used.
Where's Nick Shirley? Nick Shirley, go find the fraud. We have fraud over here. Hey, we got fraud. Just sitting there. But it's not technically like fraud because it's like it's approved money, right? But to normal people like me, that's pretty fraudulent to be approving $7,000, and it's just sitting there. You didn't even do anything with it. That's honestly, the first time I saw government waste when I was in the military. And I didn't know what it was back then, but I knew something was wrong when I was serving, when I was deployed, and we just had football fields worth of equipment in Kuwait. And vehicles just sitting there, and tanks and Abrams just sitting there. And it's just, I'm telling you, like at Camp Arif John in Kuwait, it is just there's like 10 football fields of just military, army, fucking up armored vehicles sitting there. And you guys and taxpayers paid for all that. Did millions of dollars worth of equipment just sitting there. And then the soldiers, Like, yeah, the military will get a new vehicle every now and then for your unit, but the soldiers themselves get paid dog shit, and they get last tier equipment unless you're serving in a high speed unit, like, you know, maybe at Fort Bragg, you know, or if you're in like the special forces, or if you're attached to them, or, you know, whatever, you're getting the worst equipment or hand me down shit. Like a lot of the shit I like when I got to basic training, it was some shit someone else is besides the uniforms. But like you get shit someone else had. It's all hand me downs, and they keep that shit. And but like money gets approved, the military, and then all of the security apparatus gets funding every year. They get more money every year, but the ones working or the soldiers or whatever don't get any of that. Don't get any of that shit. They're like, hey, we'll give you a 0.5% raise. There you go. That for the troops. But you want to talk about how we have widespread fraud here, and then that dumbass brought the entire world on Minnesota. Well, we already had the raids happening, but when Nick Shirley lied about the fraud that still has not been uncovered in Minnesota, he capitalized off of already convicted fraud, right? And people that are already in prison for fraud, and tried to like bring racism to it, and then tried to point it at the Somali community specifically. Obviously, like, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it failed. I really do. It didn't bring, like, the raids were already ongoing. It provided a spark at the time, but like he's in California. Like, you got the governor trolling him personally. Like, I think Tim Walz tried to once, but because of just how just bad it was here, like Tim Walz couldn't even like troll Nick Shirley really. So, but you got Newsom trolling Nick Shirley, and like California is the 5th largest economy in the entire world. You can't, it's not gonna happen. Okay. He barely did it in Minnesota, and Minnesota is still fighting this fight, but like he went to California now, and he's like in California doing that. Let me see. And I don't think it's going well at all. I think he's just like failing miserably. He's gonna have his followers, and he's gonna go have his videos go viral, but it's always like the impact beyond his own base now, because he's got a big base. He's got millions of followers now, right? So he's gonna always have big reactions or get botted. But what his little video here did in Minnesota and during the holidays, that was like seen by the world. Like the whole world saw that and like made us react to it and all this bullshit. But he doesn't have that now, because over time people have debunked the video. They've been like, oh wait, hold on, there was fraud in Minnesota, but everybody was convicted. Everybody that was involved was sent to jail. The leader of it was sent to prison. Like, what else? Oh, you just want to somehow just blame or point the finger at the Somali community as if like just they're all committing fraud and like they all got to go to prison. Like, that's insane. That's insane. We're not going for that. Minnesota didn't go for that, but it seems you got him doing it in California now. California is the breeding ground for voter fraud, he says. Not seeing the same numbers. And he just put it out. But you had Governor Newsom already respond. After hyping massive fraud for a month, Nick came up empty, so he posted a video about a Republican who committed voter fraud and was prosecuted. Also, could I say something? It's probably going to make some of you mad, but I don't care. But we can't have this. Can't do this. Can't do that. Nope. Can't do that. How are you going to have, because especially the press office and Newsom are like popular amongst the protests that have been like last year, like the massive ones. And you have this thing, it's called No Kings, right? And you've had 2 of them now. And you can't have a No Kings while having Gavin Newsom wearing a fucking crown. I get it. They're trolling Trump, but like, you gotta undo that a little bit now, and then now start focusing on, because especially involved, like if he's gonna run for president, I know some of you guys aren't voting for him, and that's fine. I'm just analysis mode, okay, for people that might. He has to now he has to stop the trolling of MAGA. This is what you do now, because last year it was fine, and you can still do it, but like not as much. But now if he's gonna run for office, this has to stop. Like, that shit's got to be done, because you can't have No Kings and then have Gavin Newsom wearing a crown. And then he has to be involved in the protest. and be out there and like offer help to it, not grift off of it. But he has to be out there in either in California or wherever, honestly, outside of California too, and be out there and offer resources or offer help. People probably won't want it, and that he'll have to accept that too. And they'll be like, nope, we don't want your help, Gavin Newsom. And then he'll have to be like, okay, bet. I guess you don't need my help then. That's fine. I'm still running to be your president. And if you need anything, then I'll be here. And then you can go fuck off. But yeah, that's what he needs to do. Or anybody running for office in the Democratic Party at any level need to be out there with the people. And they need to be involved in that. Okay. So yeah, two things. That crown has to go. And then also, yeah, be out there. And then I don't know, because I know why they're doing the crown thing. It's because this account trolls MAGA, and it's a whole thing, and it's all irony, and that's fine. It's funny, but you know, it's going to be time to be serious a little bit here, especially as we're getting closer to midterms. So I mean, yeah, so they're shutting it down. Nick Shirley's propaganda is not going to go well in California, especially with the amount of money that state brings in for the rest of the country. Okay. But anyway, so all that to be said, the government gets a lot of money in contracts, and it gets a lot of money in funding, and then it just uses it and doesn't go anywhere. And it's just sitting in warehouses, or it's just sitting in boxes, and you paid for it as a taxpayer.
4 years after the money was handed out, state authorities found $67,000 worth of gear still in boxes. It had never been used. Several counties and cities bought Segway scooters for their bomb squads. Each one cost $4,700.
Who's muted?
Okay.
Who's muted? You had to go out and come back in. I'm not muted. Can you guys hear me? Chat, YouTube's saying I'm muted. Could you guys hear me that whole time? Yeah. No sound? What? Maybe YouTube's having a situation. You guys have heard me this whole time, right? Yeah, you got me on Twitch, Facebook, we're good. Why are we not talking about the torture stories coming out across the country? They're all saying the same things. We cannot communicate each other, maggots, and the torture stories. I guess I don't know what you mean. We had 2 sites in PA. Governor is now saying no under backlash. What do you mean the torture? Is it good now? Okay, cool. Yeah, it must have been a weird YouTube buffer thing, right? So anyways, if you didn't hear me, I was just talking about how we have so much waste, fraud, and abuse in the government actually, but not with what Elon and MAGA are talking about.
In boxes. It had never been used. Several counties and cities bought Segway scooters for their bomb squads. Each one cost $4,700.
Okay, first, I'm not sure anything says we have too much money more than buying a fucking Segway. And second, that is just an unfathomably dorky look. It doesn't scream brave bomb diffuser as much as it does beekeeper mall cop. And with expenditures like that, it's no wonder that a 2015 report from a Republican senator found that despite spending over $500 billion, DHS was not successfully executing any of its 5 main missions, and its primary counterterrorism programs were yielding little value. But because no one in power back then wanted to break apart something that had Homeland Security in its name, DHS remained the largest federal law enforcement agency with massive funding, sweeping surveillance authority, and worryingly unclear checks on its own power. It was essentially a loaded weapon sitting on a president's desk in the Oval Office, only held back by their personal sense of temperance and restraint. All of which brings us back to this fucking guy. Because
it always does. You said 2 Republicans are currently leading the polls in California. Who, and is this in Orange County? Is this like in a specific, like a local election in California? Because yeah, that's possible. There's tons of Republicans in California.
in his first term, Trump and this sleep paralysis demon used DHS to push everything from his Muslim ban to family separation to his efforts to end DACA. But from the very start of Trump's second term, it was clear they had much bigger plans for DHS, starting with the fact Trump put one of his biggest allies, Kristi Noem, in charge of it. And even news stories about her announcement at the time contained some pretty clear hints that she was a bad choice.
Tonight, President-elect Donald Trump expected to name one of his staunchest campaign supporters. Are you ready? South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem to lead the massive Department of Homeland Security. Trump once considered Noem as a potential running mate, but her star dimmed after writing in her memoir that she had shot and killed the family dog.
Can't do that. I am strongly against killing your dog. All right. I don't know what the hell. I don't understand how they thought that was going to be okay. They still do, but I mean, I haven't forgot that. I don't know how you kill your dog and then think like, and then especially the right wing little pretending to be Christian crowd. Like, how you kill your dog, really?
Yeah, not great. And even Trump, who has been endowed by Satan with an ability to survive any bad press whatsoever, somehow knew that picking a VP who bragged about speed-running Old Yeller is a bad move.
Speed running Old Yeller.
No one wants to share a ticket with John Wilkes Woof here. In fact, Trump was so turned off by Noam's dog news, he apparently said to Don Jr. afterwards, "That's not good at all. Even you wouldn't kill a dog, and you kill everything." Just another brief window into a family dynamic
like
that a skilled therapist would describe as
too much.
Cha-ching. And crucially, Noam didn't bring a lot of non-dog murdering experience to the job. She'd never worked in DHS or indeed law enforcement, but in a foreshadowing of things to come, as governor of South Dakota, she was a relentless self-promoter. In ads for her state, she appeared in various job-themed costumes, including a dentist, a nurse, an electrician, a plumber, a welder, and a construction worker, selling each role with incredible charisma.
South Dakota has...
MAGA loves that. Like I told you. So I showed you Putin did it because they like Putin too. Yeah, they like Putin too. And Trump does it. Trump did it too.
The blueprint for success. Recently, we led the nation in new home building, but we're still growing so fast. We need to hire more builders to keep up. So I'm pitching in.
I'm doing it. I'll have it with her hair.
Look, I know her performance is pretty flat there, but in her defense, who's going to tell her that she can't act? Not anyone who likes their dog, that's for sure. So, I'm in a bit of a tough spot here because I refuse to comment on a woman's looks, but one of my female writers has insisted that I read something that she's written, and I also refuse to silence women's voices. So given that... ponytail, for practical working purposes, is intended to keep hair off the base of the neck and or out of the eyes. If you leave the front part of your hair out and keep the bottom part of your hair down loosely around your shoulders, it's not a working ponytail, it's a hairdo. And John, please do make sure that you put that second hair in air quotes, because there is just no way that Clydesdale tail is the real hair of that dog killer with a bad filler. Her words, not mine, her words. Believe women. And the thing is, Noam immediately brought to DHS that same unrelenting focus on PR, from shooting a video in the Salvadoran Secot prison while wearing a $50,000 Rolex.
Nick Shirley did that too, though, because they're all connected.
To cosplaying as a law enforcement.
Yep. Yep. Speaking of Nick, this whole government is fucked. Inside the... There you go.
Now when an inmate walks into this door, he never leaves. Here are some of the most dangerous people in the world you can see.
They probably filmed it on the same day. They had Christy Noam, because it's the same, right? Yeah, they had Christy Noam, and then... Oh, they're wearing shirts in this video, so maybe not. Maybe different days.
They have their tattoos and
Oh, for Nick Shirley, they could have their shirts on, but for Christy Noam, they probably told them to take their shirts off so they can see tattoos, because those are tattoos are bad in MAGA world. Like they both love tattoos, and I know a bunch of MAGA that get tattoos, but like brown people having tattoos, they're probably an MS-13, so they can't have those. So you got to make sure you show the tattoos off the prisoners behind to make it look scarier for the propaganda.
Salvadoran Secot prison while wearing a $50,000 Rolex, to cosplaying as a law enforcement agent, from wearing a bulletproof vest on the streets of New York, to putting on Coast Guard fatigues, to dressing up like a Border Patrol agent on Fox News.
MAGA loves it. They want that. They want their ice Barbie. They need it.
It seems like
they want fake people. They love it.
Got cameras with her wherever she goes. It's because she basically does. Here she is with a camera crew on the roof of an immigration detention facility outside of Chicago. And fun fact, these two men...
that was Bavino. That's Bavino standing right there.
Camera crew on the roof of an immigration detention facility outside of Chicago. And fun fact, these two men, Carl Frankovich and Juan Munoz, were...
Oh yeah, these are the two
outside that day, only to be arrested. And to hear them tell it, that seemed to have less to do with their actions and much more to do with the presence of Noam and her social media crew.
An agent grabbed me, threw me down. I was then zip-tied and detained.
I was pulled to the ground. and ordered arrested.
Oh, they weren't pressed. They were
very much like we were just being used for this political theater.
Christy Nome.
Thank you. I am your mom, 421, for becoming a contributor.
Was able to walk past us, surrounded by photographers, videographers, essentially just getting us in the background as she walked by.
Then look what happened. Homeland Security sent out these social media posts showing Kyle in handcuffs. This one said, "We will not allow violent activists to lay hands on our law enforcement." And they also posted this government promotional video. Yeah. And there's Kyle again. He and Munoz were never...
Yeah, that's right. Remember that one. It was probably the same person doing videos for Bavino and damn it. Does it even pop up anymore? No, I should have saved all of these videos into like one bookmark. Whatever. Okay. Yeah, that was probably the same person making them for both accounts.
Charged with any crime.
They had the same style.
That's true. Despite being labelled violent activists, they were never charged with anything. So it seems they were arrested just for a photo op for Christy Nome, which is, if I may quote her own dog's dying words, rough. But it goes way beyond optics. Nome has been put in charge of DHS at a moment when it's experiencing an unprecedented funding surge. Trump's big, beautiful bill last summer essentially doubled DHS's funding over the next 4 years. And it's worth looking at where all of that money is and, equally importantly, isn't going. Because DHS's resources are now being pointed at immigration more heavily than ever before, to the point that it's been called a veritable Department of Deportation. ICE alone was handed an extra $75 billion to spend over Trump's term, tripling its annual budget and leading to this startling fact.
Overnight, it became the highest funded federal law enforcement agency in US history. If ICE was a military, it would be the 17th richest in the world, worth about the same as Canada's entire armed forces.
It's true, and whatever the appropriate budget for ICE is, and they're making a pretty compelling argument for it being zero right now, one thing it should definitely not be is the same as the entire Canadian military. Though, to be fair, that's not a perfect one-to-one, as I'm pretty sure the Canadian military doesn't totally eat shit on...
And also, in that clip, did you guys notice his rifle went off?
Slightly.
If you guys know, I know people are laughing, but if you that clip went viral, but he had a negligent discharge.
Totally eat shit.
Like his rifle fires right there. What if someone was standing there just filming them because they're being idiots and like their fucking rifle just went off?
On slightly slippery sidewalks. Now, a lot of that money is earmarked for immigration detention facilities, the conditions at which we have talked about before on this show and which are unlikely to get better given ominous headlines like ICE begins buying mega warehouse detention centers across the US.
And guess what? They're not going to just be using those for illegal immigrants. That's going to be where they start putting people that are against Trump. Yep. That's what those are for. Yeah. It's they're databasing people that were out protesting or were out blowing whistles and whatnot just here in Minnesota. Put them had the database phone out there, especially with Palantir contracts with the government. That's going to be used for processing centers. Ironically, the FEMA camps that MAGA used to be afraid of back in the day, and the right wing was afraid of, and the little FEMA, that's what those are going to be. Yep. I found the video though. This is from Portland, so it's on the DHS Instagram still.
Lord, forgive us, my boys and me. We're having it all.
They fucked up a good song.
Some call the women and some will steal the Bible.
That's in, so they did like Portland and Chicago, because I was there this night in Portland.
For the sake my survival.
And there's Bavino.
Baptize me in a bottle of bean vagina.
And that's the one protester that was in the clip talking about it, how they were set aside for their propaganda video here. They literally were taken here to sit there to film that little piece of the clip. That's it. And this night was when this is Portland, because the facility is just right up here, and we were gassed down the road, and I'm like, the fuck are they pushed everyone down the street and gassed everyone there, and it was to film this video making it look like there's smoke all through the streets of Portland, Oregon. because they were out there throwing red smoke nades and green smoke and all this other dumb shit to make it look, to make the scene look like there's chaos there.
But a lot is also going to hiring thousands of new ICE agents, with DHS planning to spend $100 million over a one-year period just on advertising. It's part of what is called a wartime recruitment strategy, and those ads are everywhere.
Slickly produced social media videos.
Join ICE and help us catch the worst of the worst.
Televised ads targeting local police, and a celebrity endorsement. These are all part of a...
Who is that? What celebrity?
Televised ads targeting local police, and a celebrity...
Who is that? Deuces 19. Who is that? Is that the Superman? Is that the old Superman guy? I don't know. Who is that? Some celebrity endorsement? I don't know who that is. That's Dean Cain? Oh. His Instagram doesn't even pop up when I'm looking for it. Dean Cain? Okay. Okay, it was never not my Superman.
Celebrity endorsement. These are all part of a major multi-million-dollar recruitment campaign launched by the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. It shared images using wartime imagery like Uncle Sam and slang like in this post with the caption, quote, "Want to deport illegals with your absolute boys?"
Oh my God. Not just your regular boys, your absolute boys.
Want to deport illegals with your absolute boys?
Trying to reach the youth.
That's going to be on social media. It's going to be through streamers, so YouTube and other places where user-generated content is, but also large-scale broadcast and streaming platforms like Hulu, HBO Max, Amazon Prime, all of this sort of thing.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't love hearing my employer's name on that list. Though I guess at least I do get a reminder of what the company's name is this year. It's also slightly satisfying to know that one place, though...
It's crazy, because they had, like, HBO is such a known brand, and then they had to rebrand, like, fucking 19 times. Who was on drugs in the corporation to do that? MAGA didn't get mad at that one, though. They didn't care. Just show me the late night shows. MAGA, where were you? We needed you for that. You're solid for Cracker Barrel. That's what you're good for.
...to be running is in front of AEW Wrestling, meaning that ICE is having to pay money to appear alongside this. It's still very good. Now, DHS claims those ads are working. They say they've hired 12,000 new ICE agents and officers since last summer. And while there are good reasons to believe those figures are inflated, we're still going to have a lot more ICE agents on our streets this year. And that should be a real concern. Especially because to hire so many officers so quickly, they've had to significantly lower their standards for new recruits, doing things like waiving age requirements, condensing the training period, and ending requirements like taking 5 weeks of Spanish language training, which is a bad idea for many reasons, including those agents now won't get to understand even a little bit of Bad Bunny's music, which is sad for them. They're missing out on a lot of joy, plenty of political commentary, and a metric ton of blowjob descriptions. There is a lot in... It's a rich text. And the thing is, even with those lower standards, one report found that more than a third of new ICE recruits had failed a physical fitness test that required 15 push-ups, 32 sit-ups, and running 1.5 miles in 14 minutes.
That's it? That's it? 15? 15? You can do that without even doing... Oh, my God, that's it? 32 sit-ups? Some people can't even cap. You know, you could. Hey, you hit 20 in the sit-ups, it gets tough. I could probably do 32 though. My back and shit though. A back sit-ups, I could knock those. I could do 54 in like 30 seconds back when I was younger. Because you had to, in the Army, you have standards. So you have, well, now it's changed. Now you have to do an entire fucking. You got to like throw a medicine ball and do monkey bars and like fucking shuttle sprint. Carry your. I don't know. They changed. They destroyed the PT test. Whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's effective. But you got to do, this is the standard in when I was in the Army, you had to do push-ups, sit-ups, and a 2-mile run. Not a 1.5 miles. What the hell is that? You got to do a 2-mile run. But in like, as you, at the youngest standard, you had to do 54 sit-ups and you had to do 42 push-ups. And that's like a 17-year-old kid, 17 to 21-year-old kid. And then as you got older, you didn't have to do as much. I think every 3 years, your age bracket changed. And I know a lot of NCOs would be excited when they get to a new age bracket because then you don't have to do so many on the PT test. But 15 push-ups is absolutely like, anyone can do that. Anyone can do 15 push-ups. You can do that. You can do that right now. Okay.
And I do not say this lightly, is a test even I could pass. Also, and more upsettingly, nearly half were later sent home because they couldn't pass the written exam, which covers things like when officers can and can't conduct searches and seizures. And it gets even worse when you learn that during that test, they were allowed to consult their textbook and notes.
They failed and they were... That makes sense. It makes sense, actually. After what I've seen for the past 2 months out there, before Bavino got out there, and it was just ICE and like me and Status Coup, and it was just us out here and like you guys watching the ICE agents before the whole world came. Like, yeah, that makes sense. They were able to use their phone. They had their textbook. But now you can obviously just chat GPT anything or like look anything up. But like, if you were given a test and you could use your textbook, that's all you needed back in the day. If the teacher was like, you can use your notes and textbook for the test, sometimes that sucked. And because the teacher was good at giving a test that had nothing to do with what you took notes on. I hated that, by the way, because some classes I would be like, all right, I'm taking a lot of notes. This is a harder class. And then the test would come and they could be, okay, open notes test. I'd be like, bet. And then all my notes wouldn't matter at all. Not one note I took was relevant to the test. And I'd be pissed. But now in ICE, though, I doubt it would be that hard. I doubt, especially after looking at the physical standard. It's got to be the easiest fucking thing ever.
Yeah, half of them failed an open book test. And as we all know, that is the easiest kind of test, even easier than urine. That one is actually harder than you think. Midstream is a delicate dance. And as the former acting director of Vice points out, this is all a very bad sign.
Yeah, I mean, it's like some of these moves, frankly, have resulted in some embarrassing candidates. ICE agents have tremendous authority when they're out there on the streets. We have to know that these people, A, have that integrity, are going to, when no one's looking, are they going to do things the right way? And secondly, they're getting into this with the right...
just got a scar on his, like, why?
...reason. Obviously, there's a tremendous concern as well that the administration is going after individuals who...
Guy's got a suppressed scar.
...for some animus towards immigrants.
Right. Because it doesn't seem unfair to assume that some might have applied for that job less out of a sense of public duty and more because they, want to deport illegals with their absolute boys. And that concern has been compounded by a disturbing pattern of what sure seems like white nationalist dog whistles in these recruiting ads. Like this post reading, "Which way American man?" invoking...
Yes, they all are. Yes, all of this is white nationalism. Everything. And same with those edits, too. And the videos that DHS is putting out in Bavino, all that's white nationalism. Yep.
A meme associated with this anti-Semitic book popular among neo-Nazis.
Yep.
And this one using the phrase, "We'll have our home again."
Yep. All white nationalist dog whistles. Yep.
Title of a song released by a white nationalist band popular with far-right groups like the Proud Boys. And if that connection seems at all like a stretch to you, you should know the Proud Boys themselves don't seem to think so.
On the messaging app Telegram, one chapter reposted that ad next to a picture of a literal dog whistle, adding the line, "Message received."
Just like stand back and stand by. Oh, okay, bet.
Oh, cool. Although I do have to say, the whole point of a dog whistle is plausible deniability. So
also having 211 views on your post and only getting 17 reactions. I don't know. I'm probably not. The Proud Boys look like they're not really that proud. They're not really, their power is not really there no more. 211 views and you got 17 reactions to your, this is Telegram. This is a Telegram chat based on the background of the thing. That's not good. That's not a good sign.
App Telegram, one chapter reposted.
Well, not good for them. Good for us, because that means the Proud Boys aren't. They don't have this. They're not the same. They're not. I don't even know what they. I don't even know what the. A lot of the right wing militia have joined ICE and have joined the DHS and shit. So I don't know what like 2020 Timu militias that we were seeing from the right are going to look like here, if they're even going to exist.
But I guess that is the risk that you run when your secret master plan has to rely on some of the dumbest people alive. Now, I have to tell you, we reached out to DHS for comment and they angrily denied any dog whistles, adding, "We will not apologise for using patriotic messaging and symbolism in our advertisements." They also told us, and I quote, "One could say we are homeland maxing."
I'm jumping off my. I'm jumping. Okay, I decided I'm not, but that's I hate it. I hate it here. I hate it here so much. They said that in a actual response to
removing illegal aliens and defending our borders.
Oh, that was from Trisha McLaughlin, so that's why. Okay, she's gone though, because we know she's gone. This was a response to comment saying DHS was homeland maxing, but that lady's gone now, so.
I genuinely feel dumber for saying out loud. So that is where money and resources at DHS have been surging too, but the administration is also pulling resources away from other key parts of the agency. And let's start with just the reallocation of resources under ICE. Because for the record, before Trump came along, deportation was not ICE's sole focus. It actually consisted of two branches, ERO, or Enforcement and Removal Operations, which handles detentions and deportations, and Homeland
HSI.
Security Investigations, or HSI, which is tasked with complex investigations.
And they're both out there, and they're together, and they're holding hands and skipping, and doesn't matter. And then Border Patrol, and then you also got the corrections officers too out there in the streets. Don't fucking matter. You got some armor. Bet. You got a patch of some federal agency? Cool. Come on. Let's go do deportations with our absolute boys, basically. It doesn't matter. They're all out there.
Things like drug smuggling and human trafficking, with many of their targets not even immigrants. Diddy's case, for instance, was run by HSI agents. And many HSI officials have long wanted to be formally separated from ICE, and for obvious reasons. If you need cooperation in a human trafficking investigation, it's harder to get it from someone who thinks that you might deport them. But in Trump's second term, he has gone hard in the other direction, signing an executive order on day one, announcing enforcing immigration law would be the primary mission of HSI. And that has had real consequences, as highly trained agents who specialised in things like money laundering and counter-terrorism cases have now been sent to do things like pick up people in parking lots. Here is a guy in an HSI jacket arresting people at a Home Depot in LA last year.
And that's similar in Minnesota, though. HSI is right out there with them, and the ERO guys, and a corrections officer for some reason, and then Border Patrol.
And that is not good, because there's probably other important stuff he was supposed to be doing.
Nope, there isn't. Nope. Everyone says that. Nope, there isn't. There's that. That's what he's doing today. They have too much. That's why they have too much funding. There are too much people. There are too much resources that they're given, and they actually don't have something better to do. This is what they're doing.
In the first part of last year, HSI agents worked an average of 33% fewer hours on child exploitation cases, which is just maddening. There is a reason episodes of SVU don't involve them abandoning a case halfway through, because they then have to go spend the rest of the episode harassing people outside of a fucking Lowe's. People would riot. But it's not just reallocations within ICE. Not only have CBP agents been diverted from the border, they've pulled in law enforcement from outside of DHS.
Like I said, it's happening all over the country. Sadly, not everyone is producing video from others. They have only so much the collective can do. If people in other states and cities aren't doing it, then it's unfortunately not going to happen. A lot of the reason why we were able to get to where we were able to get to in Minneapolis and St. Paul is because the residents are out there live streaming or filming and be like, oh, okay, that's where they're at. They're at 26th in Portland, or they're at 33rd in whatever, or they're at 28th in Chicago, or whatever. Easy, because they'd be out there live or they'd be out there filming it and posting it on social media. And beyond the cities, that's fear and far between people posting video because they're scared or something. It's crazy. It's like in the city, people not as scared. People that live outside, they're more scared. It's like, should be good out there. I mean, you got your land and maybe you got your guns and stuff. And yeah, you should, I don't know. It's especially in like your rural part. Like you probably know every single person that lives in your area, right? So you'd think it would be easier to coordinate some type of pushback. I'm hoping that happens. Minneapolis and Chicago, because some of the tactics Minneapolis picked up was like the whistles and the horns Chicago was doing last year. But in terms of like organization and the protests and like the pressure and everything that in Minneapolis and the Twin Cities were doing, if you don't adopt it in your place, like it doesn't happen. And then you're going to have ICE agents and federal agents in your city or in your neighborhood, because no one else is going to push back except for you or your neighbors if they choose to. Minneapolis is not going to get on a bus. Number one, the right wing would absolutely eat that up and call it all types of things. But you're not going to have like the Minneapolis go out, get onto a bus or something, and then go show up in your neighborhood and like do resistance for you. Like they can't. Number one, they're still doing it themselves. But I mean, if you've been watching and like you saw what happened, and you have federal agents in your neighborhood, then do it or don't. And they're gonna trample on your neighbor's rights, or maybe yours. It might be on your property, and you'll be like, get off my property, and they'll be like, I'm a HSI or I'm a ERO. Go fuck, and then they'll actually talk shit to you, and then you might get mad and be like, oh no, I saw this in Minneapolis, but it's too late because it's just you. But the best thing you could do is video and take a video, and then more people can see it. But unless that happens, it's really tough to. Like I'm trying to get connected to more people that are seeing ICE outside of the cities. And I'm going to try to do that and put it on and videotape it myself. But Minneapolis did it themselves. Nobody helped Minneapolis. Nobody saved the people of Minneapolis except for themselves and the residents that live there, or people that came with platforms and also provided help or whatever. But it was mostly just the people. And that wasn't the government. The government wasn't there at all. No government help. No. The one things that were good but were still disobeyed were like the moratorium on ICE using parking lots or staging areas and whatever. But they were still using Target parking lots. They were still staging wherever that. They didn't care about that, and it wasn't enforced. Like the Mayor Fry put out that they couldn't use the parking lots, but then ICE was like, we're gonna do it anyways. What's he gonna do? And they did. And then Mayor Fry went on and was like, get the fuck out. Get out of here. Scram. Get out of here. Then I just post. Hold on. I might have a reel for this. Situation. When did he? Hold on. I just posted it too. Oh, it's this. I gotta go here. Let me. It's this one. This was like Democrats during this. And that's what I'm saying. They needed to get a spine, or like it's not going to be good. You better get out of here. You better scram. Yeah, I'll pull it up. I found a link of a video finally that I'm talking about. I'll do better about just saving all these videos I see. Here you go. If it loads, that's not the one. That is absolutely not the video I wanted to show you guys. That's not it either. All right, I got to pull it up manually, apparently. He's real. Yeah, this guy's hilarious. Oh, here you go. There's Democrats during ICE.
Stop. Stop. Get the out. Yeah. I said the F word. Someone has to do something. It's not going to be me. What we need to do is we need to come together as a community. So let's get together, sisters. Did that do it? As someone who can do something about this, I promise you, I am working towards having some conversations with people and figuring out how socialism is evil. I posted not just on Instagram, but also Twitter. Rest assured, I am sending a message to the president. This is that message. Vote for me for my upcoming re-election campaign, link in bio. Hey, ICE, stop.
Better get out of here. You better skedaddle. There we go. Fuck off, ICE. Bad. They didn't do anything else. That was it. They did nothing else. Truly. So it was only the people of Minneapolis and the Twin Cities and people in the surrounding suburbs that also were contributing and helping the best they could, and also looking at, if you don't do that in your spot, if you got federal agents in your shit, then they're going to do what they're going to do. And they're going to do that anyways. You shouldn't impede them. But as you've seen, just filming is enough to make them like go away. Just filming them and what they're doing, because they know what they're doing is bad. What they're doing is very bad. They're stripping people of tons of constitutional rights. And if it's on film, then they can't, well, they'll lie about it anyways. But obviously they'll lie, and then they'll lose political power because your video, okay? And you have to do it. People in your town have to do it, or no one's going to do it for you. Minneapolis is not coming to do it for you.
There's one estimate. Last year, 1 in 5 US Marshals, 1 in 5 FBI agents, half of DEA agents, and over 2/3 of ATF agents had been reassigned to help handle deportations. And look, I'm not saying everything those agencies were doing was a good use of their time. For more on that, see any number of episodes of this show. But it is notable that for all Trump's justification of immigration crackdowns to fight drugs and cartels, as this former DHS intelligence official points out, that's exactly what is being deprioritized.
If FBI agents are not working on drug gang task forces, then there are fewer investigations into violent street gangs and drug trafficking cartels.
And with such a large contingent pulled from their duties, he says drug cartels and bad actors are watching.
I am 100% certain that they are tracking that federal agents are being moved out of drug task forces and seeking to determine ways to exploit the reduced resources on those task forces.
Yeah, of course cartels are going to take advantage. Drug kingpins, by and large, aren't stupid, mostly because drug kingpins who are stupid tend to spend a very short...
They're going to prison, or they're not, or we don't hear about them.
...time as kingpins.
Yeah.
And much longer as a suspicious mound of earth somewhere in the Mexican desert. Yeah. It's kind of a self-editing field. And I'm still not done listing misallocations of resources, because at the same time that Nome has surged funding to some areas of DHS, she's actively starved others. For instance, CISA, which handles cybersecurity, lost roughly 1,000 staffers, more than 1/3 of the agency, meaning it is now less equipped to do things like protect our electrical grids or secure our elections. But maybe the biggest example of a department being hamstrung is FEMA. It is the agency...
The FEMA camps, they're coming.
...that handles the federal response to disasters. Many believe it never really belonged in DHS in the first place, and that it's ending up there contributed to its failures during Hurricane Katrina. And if you're too young to remember Hurricane Katrina, I'm afraid you're just going to have to fuck off. Suffice to say that FEMA did not have a good Katrina. Perhaps best summed up by this entirely fair question in front of a flood-damaged apartment complex. Now,
that was a huge 2005. If we could go back there.
Soon after Trump took office, FEMA lost about 1/3 of its total full-time staff, and it's also been heavily impacted by a new rule across DHS, which states that every contract and grant over $100,000 must now cross Nome's desk for approval, or to put that in terms that Christy Nome can understand, 2 wristwatches. And that requirement is clearly absurd generally, but especially at FEMA, an agency that handles emergency relief that needs to get out quickly. At one point, about $17 billion...
So they're putting it behind quid pro quo, FEMA funding.
In federal disaster funds for states was held up for an extra layer of review by Nome, causing unusual delays in payments. And I'd say...
Because of the pay for play. You didn't support Trump? Oh, you're not getting your hurricane relief in your county.
That I can't even imagine how...
You're not getting tornado relief. Oh, you're a blue county? Oops. Yeah, you're not getting money.
I'll take that. Process must look, but luckily I actually can, because another of Nome's South Dakota ads literally showed her as an overworked accountant with ticker tape all over the place, not exactly doing a great job.
Is this looks like...
We have close to 20,000 open jobs, including accountants. So I'm filling in.
South Dakota.
So I'm filling in, right.
Freedom works here.
Governor Nome, you didn't carry the 2.
Josh, kiss my abacus.
Okay.
With her pens.
It seems once more I find myself in a tough spot, because again, I have been told to read something to you, And I don't feel like I can say no. The precise way for you to describe what Kristi Noem has actively chosen to look like there is mother of the bride who asked for the exact same hair as the bride.
Oh, no.
Also, John, while I have your attention, maybe it's time for you to be putting a little grey in the eyebrow makeup. You're not fooling anyone. Let's be adults about this. Those are her words. She's brutally honest. Brutally honest. She's a bad person. The future is female. The thing is... Noem delaying funding approvals at FEMA has already had serious consequences. When there were deadly floods in Texas last year, 2 days after, nearly 2/3 of the calls to FEMA's disaster assistance line went unanswered. Now, I have to tell you, Noem has disputed that report, saying it's just false, and that report needs to be validified.
It's just fake.
I believe that
validified
sentence itself could benefit from being spell checker rated. And not for nothing, Noem's $100,000 sign-off rule meant that, according to one former FEMA official, the FEMA building itself almost had its utilities shut off last year because the bill wasn't paid. And the truth is, so far,
that makes sense.
We've been incredibly lucky that there hasn't been an even worse disaster where FEMA's problems were more fully exposed. As last year, for the first time in a decade, not a single hurricane struck the US. But our luck can only hold out for so long. Last August, over 180 FEMA employees sent a letter to Congress warning that Trump officials' actions were risking a Katrina-level disaster, which is a pretty haunting thing to hear. And it's more than a little dispiriting to realise that the Frankenstein of an agency that we cobbled together after 9/11 is now siphoning resources away from things that actually protect us, even as it floods resources to a bunch of guys in ski masks with questionable Reddit histories who blast rap rock out of the window of their government-issued kidnapmobiles, all for the benefit of Kristi Noem's fucking TikTok. So, what can...
But MAGA likes that. It owns the libs. It makes it... Oh, you don't like it? Oh, it makes you upset? Oh, that works then. You don't like that stuff? That's okay, then I like it. Okay. Okay, I support that then. It makes you mad? Okay, then I support it. That's it. That's MAGA brain. That's why so many people are not like, oh, that's fucked. They're like, oh, it makes my political opponents upset that they're doing that, and so that means it's good. That's it. They're not really. It's not really hardcore analysis on like why people support this, or they're white national. So it's either they're like, aha, this owns the libs, or they're Nazis, and like that's like a really or like a combination of both.
Government-issued kidnapmobiles, all for the benefit of Kristi Noem's fucking TikTok. So, what can we do? Well, first and most immediately, with DHS in partial shutdown over its funding, Democrats have to use every ounce of leverage they've got to get major concessions. Bernie Sanders has proposed an amendment that would repeal the $75 billion in additional funding that ICE received. And I don't know if they'll be able to get all the way to that. They should at the...
Bernie's the only one left.
Very least get as many hard enforceable limits on immigration agents' activities as possible. Now, second, we need to get rid of ICE, period. Public trust in it right now.
Yeah, we can start there, but DHS as a whole needs to not exist anymore. But yeah, for sure. ICE out, definitely, but then like the whole DHS just fuck off, like the whole thing.
Somewhere between Purdue Pharma and the Titan submersible. It is just not salvageable. And if you're thinking, well, who will enforce immigration law if ICE is gone? I don't know, maybe the agencies that did it for decades before 2003.
Literally.
As for DHS as a whole, I would argue it's no longer tenable in its current form. And while maybe there is an argument for having a larger agency coordinating different federal departments, it should probably be redesigned from the ground up, and deliberately this time, not by suddenly gluing together org charts in a blind panic. But if I can make one last broader point here, cosmetic changes just aren't going to be enough. Because even if you get rid of Kristi Noem, which you should, Stephen Miller will still be there. And even if you get rid of him, this administration will remain. But even if they are gone and we get rid of ICE and DHS, we're still going to be left with the broken immigration laws that gave them permission to do what they have done.
Right. It has to, like, we need serious change. You cannot go back to a status quo. I said that yesterday. And John Oliver is so true on this. And this came out last night after I was at the Alex Pretty Memorial saying this almost the same thing. If you are going into the election season wanting to just, let's just kind of peel back a little bit from MAGA, but like not do anything else, we're going to be so fucked. Like, if your brain is not about progressive politics that is actually going to move the fucking needle, and it does need to move, the needle needs to move other way. Like, seriously. And serious, like, actual reforms need to happen. Serious things need to be codified into law. And if Democrats take back power, and if they're just about, oh, let's just turn the temperature down, let's just give them a basically, if they're like, let's just give them a break from MAGA for a couple years, we're fucked. And like, I'm young, I want to live a longer life, I want to have a house, and I'm not going to be for that. Like, I'm not going to be excited about that at all. I turned 33, I feel old, but I'm not going to be excited about an establishment Democratic Party that is going to just continue the status quo for people that are already established in life, or for people that already have fucking everything, a family, or like you're in retirement. Like, no, it's going to ruin my future. It's going to fuck up my next few decades. So if you're like already established, you have a family, maybe you have a house, you vote Democrat, and you're left wing, you need to support people that are actually going to do something, and not just like tone the temperature down. Oh, just put them on the bench let's put them on the bench for a while. MAGA on the bench, but don't worry, you'll be back, basically. Because if we have like the same politics you had when Biden was president, which again, he did do good things, but not good enough, and didn't hold MAGA accountable at all, none, zero. You're going to have MAGA 3, MAGA 3.0, America First 3, TPUSA running the show. And that's what's happening next, because they're not just going to go away. They don't just go away because elections lost. If anything, there you go. How about that? MAGA won, and they won everything. Did the people against MAGA go away? I know MAGA wanted that to happen. When MAGA runs the country, they're the president, they have the Supreme Court, they have the Senate, they have the House. They have the entire government. Did people that are against MAGA quit because they won? Are you guys not protesting? I know MAGA doesn't do that shit, but they're not going anywhere. They're on fucking 4chan right now, planning their next incel conquest, figuring out where to send Jake Lang next. All right, they're not gone anywhere. And just because if Democrats win an election, that it doesn't mean that MAGA and the right wing are gone. And like, people need to seriously, like, you need to have a brain that's going to change things. Like, our country is fucked, and going back to similar or familiar, which what does that even look like now? I don't even know what familiar even is anymore. But like, just not MAGA is not good enough, because they're still around, they're still influencing, they still have power. Trump ran the Republican Party from Mar-a-Lago while Biden was president the whole time. The whole time he was running like the entire other political party, and any moves they were making, which ended up being delay in aid to Ukraine, ended up being no border funding for any type of provisions that were needed at the border, serious laws that needed to be passed and funding that needed to happen. Trump was able to be like, you're not voting for that, from the shadows. And they'll do it again. If Democrats are not serious about changing shit, actual reforms, or actual like abolishing shit, then I'm going to be mad. I don't give a fuck now. Like, I sucked it all up for 2024 and everything. I'm not going to be like that this year and beyond. Like, if there's some dog shit Democrats, they're dog shit Democrats. I was criticizing them in 2024 2 years ago. Oh, Jesus. But I obviously had more hopium around Kamala and the Democrats then, because there was like no way I thought Trump was going to win. And I thought there's no way he was going to, after everything, after January 6th, after fucking the Republicans chose him again. And I was like, well, Biden, should have done more, especially geopolitically. Failed in supporting Palestine, failed in supporting Ukraine, actually. Had way more set up around Ukraine than he did to support Palestine. But like, even the support for Ukraine was fucking terrible. Okay. So geopolitically was dog poop. And then in the domestically, he had this whole, well, we're going to come back together and not do any Department of Justice actions on Trump or MAGA or any of it. And nothing happened. They had some fuck ass January 6th committee that was on TV for people, but not resulted in fucking nothing. Nothing came of it. Nothing happened. And that's why why we're under another Trump administration. So heed my warning, or don't. or don't, and just want just the status quo, mid, both sides ass bullshit. And we're gonna be back in MAGA when I'm in my I'll be all in my 40s, and you guys will still be watching Mercado Media, and we'll be old as fuck, and we'll be like, oh boy, remember when second Trump presidency? Some of you guys are getting old too. Kids might be tuning in by then. Oh boy, remember when the second Trump presidency, and Mercado said the Democrats better actually do shit and not just be mid? Oh boy, I wish they would have done something. But we're in a time where you can demand that now. Right now is the time to demand that from Democrats, because that seems to be the only option right now for resistance against MAGA and the Republicans. So now is the time to do that. We'll see how the primaries go. We really will. Like, it will be really, I think a lot of people will be on that. And I'm hoping it won't be so easy for the Democrats to try to throw up some corporate person and be like, this is your candidate. Here it is. There you go. Here you go. Here's your candidate. And then you have to vote for him. And you don't even know who the fuck they are. That can't happen. That literally cannot happen.
Maybe there is an argument for having a larger agency coordinating different federal departments. It should probably be redesigned from the ground up, and deliberately this time, not by suddenly gluing together org charts in a blind panic. But if I can make one last broader point here, cosmetic changes just aren't going to be enough. Because even if you get rid of Kristi Noem, which you should, Stephen Miller will still be there. And even if you get rid of him, this administration will remain. But even if they are gone and we get rid of ICE and DHS, we're still going to be left with the broken immigration laws that gave them permission to do what they have done. Millions of people will continue to be vulnerable because, as we've discussed repeatedly before on this show, our current immigration system makes it somewhere from difficult to impossible for many to come in the right way. That boy in the blue hat and his dad were scooped up despite being in the process of seeking asylum. And we've shown you multiple videos of people being arrested as they showed up for their immigration appointments. And
they said Biden knew that the right would erupt in violence if he held anyone accountable. That should have happened anyways. They should have, yeah, they'd be out there and getting flashbanged and tear gas too. What are you talking about, right? The right erupts when they change the syrup bottle. The right wing erupts when trans people exist. The right wing erupts when Cracker Barrel changes their logo. Like, they erupt every fucking other day. So it shouldn't have mattered. If they were going to go out there and riot because of it, then they should have and gotten fucking munitioned like everyone else. Both sides.
That is actually a bit of a tell. Because that is clearly not this administration targeting the worst of the worst.
Because the right wing is not being held accountable on any level ever. Give me a time when any right wing anyone's been in prison. Or like lost their, or if it's not internal, because the right wing works internally, they'll like remove their people. When has there ever been a fucking conviction or anything here? You think it's going to happen? So if you're going to hold them accountable and you're worried about the fallout from it, who gives a fuck? Go start and then if anything, that'll actually, like, you get to see how they get to act, and like, oh, weren't they just criticizing? Because they already rioted at the Capitol at January 6th. And then you had all of their rhetoric around the Black Lives Matter protests, and then the riots before that started, and then the movement. So you would have had them raid the Capitol, and then you would have held them accountable, and then people would have gotten to see these right-wing schizo fucking losers riot themselves again after they just rioted the Capitol. That would have ended MAGA then, because people, no matter what side you're on, don't like their buildings burning down. Okay, they don't like seeing that. Actually, MAGA loves it actually, but like they wouldn't like it. They want right-wingers that aren't MAGA would condemn it more, like they did with the federal agents here. Because they want to be right wing, but not do all that. But a lot of MAGA are like that. But you would have seen them flail out, good, and hit them with the fucking flashbangs, do crowd control on them, just like you see out here. I don't give a fuck. That should have all happened.
It's them desperately trying to juice up their numbers, and it is the law that allows them to do that. And that is actually something that Tom Homan made a point of reiterating to people when he was first sent to Minnesota 2 weeks ago.
For the people out there who don't like what ICE is doing, if you want certain laws reformed, then take it up with Congress.
Take it up with Congress.
Again, ICE is making this up. They're enforcing laws enacted by Congress and signed by the president. The same laws have been on the books for the last 6 presidents I worked for. If you don't like what ICE is doing, instead of protesting this building, go protest Congress. Tell me when it changes.
Well, hold on. Was one of the main reasons Kamala lost was a lack of support for a strong. The reason Kamala lost was her position on Israel and Palestine. That's why. And fuck out. If you're right wing, you're like, unless you are falling off of MAGA completely, you're not gonna have a Democrat for your fucking right wing policies. And if they are, they suck. And like those Democrats need to fuck off. Actually, if you have a Democrat that's coming out with right wing policies that are gonna get the right wing to vote for them, that's wrong. That's fucking fucked up right there. But no, Kamala did not do well because number one, no primary, and number two, her position on Palestine and Israel.
Hold on there, Tom. Why just one or the other? People could absolutely do both. Porque no los dos, if I may quote a phrase. It seems most new ICE recruits will have absolutely no chance of understanding. But he is right there. Trump's policy of mass deportations is built on existing laws. And if America doesn't like what that policy looks like, now that they've seen what it really means, then it needs to fucking do something about it. To the extent that we are all horrified by day labourers and grandfathers and little kids in bunny hats being terrorised by men in masks, then we need to elect people who will commit to writing laws that reflect that. And I've got to say, it does say something that to the extent that anyone over the last few months has been protecting our homeland and keeping it secure, it has not been Kristi Noem in her wide array of fun outfits or whichever 20-year-old dipshit's been pumping out Nazi-flavoured content on Twitter. It has been ordinary people on the streets of Minneapolis blowing whistles, delivering food to friends who are afraid to leave their houses and marching in the cold, even though they've got goddamn work in the morning. Because, if I may quote that gloriously frozen Midwestern man, they believe we are all human beings here and that this is fucking wrong. And now, this.
That was probably one of the better segments I've seen. I made it, I think I was like at 10 minutes in. And then I'm like, yeah, I'm watching that on stream because it was good. So someone recommended that to me. That was John Oliver. Damn, 2.5 million already. Dog whistling seems like a dangerous thing to do when your boss is Kristi Noem. That's funny. So John Oliver W. Definitely. He does great. I like his videos. Well, I like his show too. His show on HBO is good. Has Trump thrown the Democrats a lifesaver? This just came out. Opinion piece, a guest essay from Thomas B. Esdell. President Trump appears determined to prevent his party from achieving a durable majority coalition anchored by multiracial working class. You don't say. It's kind of like a white nationalist movement is not. There's no room for a durable majority coalition anchored by multiracial working class. It's kind of like it works against itself. Like it doesn't. You're not going to have that. You're not going to have diversity and multiracial working class, even if you're right wing. Like it's why dude, anyone that's like if you got some color on your skin and you're right wing, clown. Okay, clown. I'm just being honest. I don't know. I was told this when I was young. I didn't know what it meant. I know what it means now. In this right Republican Party and MAGA, there is no room if you are like black or brown and conservative. That is you are clowning. You are clowning so hard. Okay. Now I'm not saying the Democratic Party is good either. I've criticized them all day. But like the right wing and the Republican Party is like, if you're not white, you are not doing anything there. You got to fight hard for it on the left, definitely, because the issue will change and people are mid there and suck. But like on the right wing, if you are not white skin, you are not gonna do well in the end. They might use you. You might be a good influencer for them for a while, or even just have a base a little bit. There's tons of black and brown conservative influencers, but if you haven't noticed, they ain't really putting into much beyond their little influencing thing. They're not put into the government. They're not put into Trump's little billionaire circle. They're not given contracts. They're not uplifted. No. Yeah. If you're not white man too, by the way, you're not nothing in the right wing. Okay. Unless they can use your grift that you've set up, because that's what you got to do. If you're going to be black, brown, or a woman and be in the right wing, or LGBTQ plus, if you're going to be a part of a minority class and you want to go and be right wing, you have to grift for them. You got to provide a platform, and you have to, and your entire thing has to be and getting whoever follows you for your charisma or whatever you're doing for the right wing. You have to then give all of that to Trump right now, whoever it will be in the future. But right now it's Trump and MAGA. So if you're a minority influencer in the right wing, or if you're a person of some status in the right wing and you're a minority, your entire thing is get your followers, your base to the whites at the top, because that's it. Okay. And I feel that it's hard because the only other option is the Democratic Party, and they're so fucking mid, and they suck too when it comes to actual like ironically durable working class, like, because working class affects all races, right? But like it's like true reforms, paychecks, making sure your taxes are low, making sure you know what you're paying for in your taxes, making sure you got health care, making sure you got benefits, making sure you got all this shit. Okay, that doesn't there's at least a fight there with some unions and some more liberal establishment stuff, but like you still got to fight for it, and it sucks. It's not just like just given. But on the right wing, no, good luck unless you got something to give them and you got a platform or something. Beyond that, you're fucking cooked, because it's a white nationalist driven political party and a white nationalist driven political movement with MAGA. Trump's posting of a video of portraying Barack and Michelle Obama as apes is one of his more glaring miscalculations. What? It's not a miscalculation. It's nothing. None of this is miscalculated. This is part of the white national. They're doing their white nationalist thing. This is what they do.
At 4 a.m. Tonight, President Trump speaking out following that rare reversal, taking down a video reposted by his social media account. After the Senate's only black Republican, South Carolina's Tim Scott, a strong Trump supporter, called the decision to repost.
And Tim Scott can't do shit without saying, and I give it all to Trump. Give it all up to Donald Trump. He spoke out against the video, obviously, because it was such a racist video. But even Tim Scott, he has no real movement or motion, and the motion he has gotten is because he's glazed Donald Trump.
Posted, quote, the most racist thing I've seen out of this White House
so far. Can't believe that. That took literally a video showing Barack and Michelle Obama as apes to be like, this is it. This is racist. It's been so many cases of that. So the video, which have given Democrats an opening halt, a steady erosion of support among minority voters, crucial to their party's chances of success, I guess. In 2024, Trump demonstrated that a conservative Republican could make a dent in a seemingly immovable black Democratic monolith. That happens because Democrats are mid. Right. And because in the way our brains work in America, a lot of, especially like males, like black Latino males, are conservative, or they are attracted to what MAGA is selling, unfortunately, because it's a lot of hustle culture. You got the red pill. Okay. That bullshit, toxic male culture. It seeps into black and brown male communities like heavily. So that's why they had a lot of motion, and especially with the way that they moved in 2024, going on podcasts, showing up at sporting events, doing a whole lot of things that, that's why there was a lot of numbers of support towards MAGA from black and brown communities, mostly male though, mostly from the males. Because again, the right wing really does a number on black and brown males in the politics of everything that's going on. So that's why. Okay. And then obviously now when we're feeling the fascism of it, it's the find out. You fucked around, right? And then now we're finding out. So a lot of the brain of Americans think, oh, black and brown, therefore left wing. Black and brown person, Democrat. No, not at all. Not even a little bit. Now, especially immigrant, Democrat. Wrong. So actually a lot wrong. A lot of immigrants that come are not that like left wing at all. Like maybe they might be for human rights because they're, but like beyond that, mostly conservative brained. And so because of the fascism of MAGA itself, then turns immigrants and black and brown males into not being right wing anymore over time. But they're not, black and brown males in the immigrant communities are not just like liberal or left wing. Like just because black and brown, and like we have an American brain, or people in America, especially talking about the politics of this, see it that way. And they also treat black and brown people as like, oh, these are numbers for the political party. If you haven't noticed how this is written a little bit. So anyways, but Trump did really well with, especially with Hispanic support, but obviously that's gone. Like that is literally dead now. Like whatever, but that's why they did it. They don't need it. They don't need it now. That's why I'm worried. I'm really worried about midterms. I'm really worried about 2028. They used the people they needed to. They used the individuals that they needed to. And now what do they need them for now? Okay. That's why I'm worried, because they're moving as if there isn't another election. The way that MAGA and the Republican Party are moving as if we're not having another election. And that's why I'm a little worried a little bit, but all of this is true though. That's why I'm showing you guys everything while giving my own opinion too, because the populism's bad, but the way they're moving is not, I'm not comfortable. The moment seemed right for a realigned Republican coalition joining base of working class white voters with a growing number of black, Latino, and Asian American defectors. Weren't even defectors. What do you, people they didn't defect from it's people that don't vote usually, or stay out of it, or maybe they're not attached to the Democratic Party, and like they're not like vote blue no matter who people, but they're like conservative, and they know, they understand how the right wing works in their marginalized community, so that conservative black or Latino male then decides to vote Democrat sometimes because of the way that the right wing moves in the moment. But usually it's like, they're already susceptible to right wing messaging, because like they watch the podcasts, or they watch the culture around the right wing, and the politics around the media of it. Okay, so I don't know about defectors. What the hell is this? Written like someone plays a lot of Civilization. The realignment is here, Patrick Ruffini, a Republican political analyst, declared on November 15th, 2024, 10 days after the election. The first GOP popular vote win in 20 years, the red wave hit everywhere, which it didn't. 2024 realigned the electorate as much as it did. Did it? Okay, that's Patrick Ruffini's. That's not it. It wasn't. They won by like 1 million. What was the number? What's the final total here? Just imagine if the Democrats would have put up someone actually popular. He won by, was that 2,223,000? 2,223,000 votes. So when you got the right wing talking about how it was a mandate, all this nonsense, like you had I'm going to be honest, like Kamala was not a popular candidate, didn't have a primary in the Democratic Party, so you didn't even have anyone to give options to vote for. It was like, here's Kamala, and she's still like fucking by 1.5% lost. So with, oh my God, dude. So I hate that they get to fucking say it was a fucking mandate when it wasn't whatsoever. And oh my God, dude, the election sucks. That election was so bullshit. Since then, however, Trump, with the brutality of his drive to deport hundreds of thousands of undocumented immigrants and the counterproductivity of his economic policies, is doing everything in his power to destroy the opportunity he had to secure and strengthen the Republican coalition. Now, the conventional wisdom, including on the right, is that Trump has undercut his own ambitions. On April 25th, 2025, 3 months into Trump's second term, Rich Lowry, the editor-in-chief of the National Review, wrote in Trump shifts his own vibe. The president entered office with a bit of a wind at his back. His polling was better than the first time around. Protesters weren't in the streets right away, though. Yeah, in April. When wasn't the first No Kings or whatever it was called in April? Or was it in May? Yeah, they had like 3 months of that in last year, and then it's all protests began right away. Since those Halicon days, what happened? Lowry wrote, now through his polling is marked a decline. His job approval rating is sliding. Depending on what poll you believe, it's down to 44%, 44% on Fox, 40% on Pew Research, 42% on Reuters. It's hard to think of another example of a president changing the momentum of his administration from positive to negative so quickly. I saw it last year. I'm still calling it a pump and dump. A pump and dump presidency. They pumped. They got everyone so hype, but like the Project 2025 and everything around this administration is so bad. Actually, not just like, oh, it triggers me. Oh, it hurts my feelings. No, it's like fucking masked federal agents gunning down American citizens, or taking our black and brown neighbors from their job sites and taking them who knows where. Okay, it's like the shit that was written is like being experienced. So it's that's why, because like what was coming from this Project 2025 was going to destroy the country and like turn us into what we're in now. So I called it a pump and dump last year because they got so much momentum and like it was going to be destroyed, like you do on a crypto coin. Same, ironically, right? When you're doing a fucking crypto rug pull, when you get it all hyped and then you release it and then you take all your money as soon as it hits or whatever that their scheme is that they do. Trump has a crypto coin too. That's what this political movement did. They fucking destroyed it because they had to. Because MAGA, despite it still existing in the background, barely did beat Kamala, who was not popular and has had a whole bunch of problems. MAGA sucked. It still does, obviously, but the campaign was pain. Watching Trump in 2024 was a nightmare. Trump's sustained treatment of his newfound supporters does not, however, mean the Democratic Party can breathe a sign of relief. Right. The 2024 election likely illuminated longstanding trepidation among black voters about the Democratic Party. Yeah. As an increasing number of black people feel a sense of distance from the civil rights era, maybe less so now that we're seeing the federal government now, and especially in Minnesota, there's a lot of more than just like ICE protests. People are like, you're seeing some Black Lives Matter activists out there. You're seeing civil rights activists out there, or civil rights attorneys showing up, and they're talking about how this issue is like this issue is bigger than just like the right now and the federal agents in the streets. It's all part of the same militarized policing and what black and brown people have faced from both the federal government and our state and local governments for decades now. Okay. So if anything, that's back again. Maybe it wasn't there in 2024. We had a lot of the American consciousness was on Israel, Palestine, or Russia and Ukraine, on geopolitics. That was, I'd say, back when Biden was president, geopolitics was driving the brain on Americans. That's not happening now. Okay, the geopolitics is still important for people, but the majority in America now are looking at Epstein files, pedophiles, and these federal agents and how they're directly impacting us in the streets, right? So, and that's bringing back civil rights era messaging and current modern day civil rights era messaging, because it's affecting and the indigenous community. You've had ICE agents going to reservations and taking in the indigenous population, and they're supposed to be federally protected. They're the same federal government that's supposed to keep the tribes protected, which they don't, by the way. I'm just saying that's what they're supposed to do, but they don't do that. They're doing deportation on indigenous populations too. They're supposed to be on federally protected land. All of it's supposed to be their land, but they're on federally protected land, and the same thing protecting them or saying they are. It's so bad. It's really bad, like all around. So that's why a lot of that is coming back, and it's gonna reinforce a lot of the structures, and black and brown males that are conservative are likely gonna start maybe seeing things differently now, because their families are being impacted by this administration. You know, their white friends they have at work ain't really worth the fucking memes and the jokes that you hear from them. Because that's just speaking personally. Okay, I mean, I sound like I'm a white man, and I am Scandinavian part, but I'm indigenous Mexican, I'm Italian, and I'm Lebanese. Okay, and when in the summertime, I get darker skin. My skin gets darker. Okay, I'm less I'm less white, I guess, in the summertime. My skin color comes out, but I know how it goes. I know how as like a little colored male, I guess, because I in the wintertime I get pretty pasty, but like when the sun comes out, I get darker. I know how that goes. I know how you try to like you're in on the memes and the jokes with your white right wing coworkers and like their racist jokes that they make, and like you got to laugh at them and be like, oh, you got to be in on it. Fuck that. Fuck all of that, because all it does in the end of the day is bring forth this fascism that's responsible for deporting and detaining our people and black and brown communities. It does nothing. So you're just sitting there making friends with these white fucking nationalists because you're working with them and they're at your job site or whatever, and it's resulting in fucking real life fascism in your own family, likely, or you've been experiencing that if you're a black or brown male. This right wing shit is not cool. You can be not right wing and still have money in a family. A lot of the alpha male red pill bullshit that you got a hustle culture, and then just brings you right into the white nationalist fucking. It's crazy. It's right into the white nationalist pipeline. Smith said we would expect an increasing number of black voters to rely on some other decision-making rules, be it self-interest, sexism, anti-immigrant sentiment, machismo, yeah, all that. Gospel, property misinformation. You also have a lot of black and brown males are religious, or they have their strong religious ties. Like they go to church on Sundays and they bring their family there. And you also have MAGA Christian nationalism that is just absolutely destroying any Christian messaging. They see the grifting that's taking place. There's no traditional nothing within MAGA when it comes to Christianity or practicing religion at all. It's all just a grift, and that's also a part of destroying the gains that MAGA did have with black and brown communities back in 2024. Like all of the grifting and people that are really like religious like that and really have those traditions, and like they go to church on Sundays and they're seeing it. They're seeing the grifting. They're seeing the lying about the religion and like whatever beliefs you have that's Christian. What does the future look like for black voting? Udi Summer, a political scientist at Tel Aviv University and author of the 2025 book, The Emerging Republican Minorities, Racial and Ethnic Realignment in the Trump Era. Well, it came and went. As we approach November of 2026, the Republican Party faces a paradox. While they have successfully demystified the idea of voting Republican for a segment of black men, which you always could, and black men always have voted Republican. Not all, but they made it seem as if like it's taboo to vote Republican, and that's how the Republican Party made moves in 2024 amongst these communities. It made it seem like, oh, why can't you vote for us? You voted for the Democrats forever, and they've done nothing for you. True, by the way, also true. But like they really they gaslit and really like worked on that messaging of like Democrats have done nothing for you, and also it's taboo to vote for the Republicans. You're not supposed to, and like that just by that. Just that dumb shit got a lot of people to vote for the Republicans. The 2024 election signaled the end of racial tribalism in voting. The idea that a group must vote a monolith to protect its interests, which honestly, only in the right wing like media is that a thing. Like outside of the right wing media apparatus, in terms of like they're the only ones providing analysis, and like Democrats eat it up. But like the right wing media and like Fox News and others spearhead that Democrats are only Democrats for Democrats and minorities. They're the one, and then Democrats eat it up, and they're like, okay, I guess we're the minority party, so let's virtue signal that, and it's fucked. And then guess what? The minority populations don't get anything, or even white, the working class, because you're a part of it too. But no, the working class gets nothing, and then it's just like virtue signaling monolith, because Republicans say that we're the black and brown party, I guess. Okay, and then nothing obviously fucking changes at all ever, and then the Republicans can be like, oh, well, they've done nothing for you. Come back and vote for us again. And then obviously the Republicans then do nothing. In her August of 2025 paper, Beyond the Block, Black Voters, Subgroups, and Declining Democratic Support, Arisa Shuit, a doctoral candidate in political science at Emory University, made the case that new generation of black voters with weaker ties to civil rights movement. True. And the further that we're getting away from that, I suppose, I can understand that. Black Americans who came of age during or shortly after the civil rights movement now cast fewer votes as a result of generation turnover. That's because of the right-wing media. Right-wing media has been working on that since the civil rights movement. And then labeling anybody that's out there in solidarity with black or brown folks as terrorists. Oh, you don't want to be out there with the white Antifa terrorists, do you? Don't go out there. You're gonna be a terrorist with the white, the blue hair liberal Antifa George Soros actors. Okay, because they're turning people against each other. They're turning race groups and different various important minority movements that have happened throughout time, and they turn you against each other. Okay, either the people that are out there in solidarity supporting it, the white allies that are out there standing with whatever marginalized community it is at the time, which black and brown doesn't matter really, it's all of it, but whatever the specific need is at the time, they'll then turn that same, or for example, the Somali community was under attack, obviously, specifically the Somali community and Latino community, but like for a good amount of time in Minnesota, it was a Somali community and still is. And they were turning other black and brown people against the Somali community by saying, well, you're going to support fraud? Really? We can't, that's not what we do in our brown community or whatever other race that is. And that's what the MAGA is really doing, or like the Republican Party and then the weakness of the Democratic Party. But that's really what they're doing, is trying to turn different racial groups, even if we're all black and brown, no matter, they're turning all of us against each other. Okay. And that's how they're able to do that, but especially how they're able to do that in 2024, in just modern day. To buttress her argument, Shuit pointed out today half of the black population was born after 1990, ushering a cohort too young to vote in Obama's first election or to have experienced 20th century race-conscious policies. Well, they're kind of coming back because of the white nationalist MAGA is going to force it because of just the past 2 months alone, going back into Chicago last year. But the more that they continue with these federal raids and are going after Latino, black, brown, Asian, indigenous communities, and killing and murdering our white neighbors as well. Doesn't matter. All races have been involved in this, and they're all facing state level violence. It's not like one race is getting an upper hand here to be able to do this bullshit propaganda. They're killing white allies. They're taking black and brown individuals of all races, shapes, and colors, and detaining them, whether they're an American citizen, whether they have their paperwork, or whether they have nothing, or whatever. Everyone's been taken. Everybody's been affected by this. So you're really going to have that kind of that civil rights mindset come back, right? That kind of, as this opinion piece is pointed out, it's kind of faded away. I would agree with that. You still have your activists that are still speaking about it, but the country, as you haven't noticed, like when it comes to majority of like civil rights issues beyond ICE, but like when you talk about civil rights as a whole, the interest fades. The interest fades away. We're beyond that. We're beyond those times. Are we? Are we actually beyond? Are we past the civil rights movement? We don't have segregated water fountains anymore. Oh, pat on the back. But we still have federal masked agents taking black and brown people and taking them away. So good job. We don't have the water fountains are not segregated anymore, and the bathrooms aren't. But you got what is this now? So I feel that if this continues, you're going to have like a resurgence of that civil rights mindset of like, hey, like, it's not over. Like the fight that our elders had is here now, and you're kind of hearing that. You're hearing that from Jaylani in the protest yesterday in Minneapolis. He talks about it all the time. You hear it from Minneapolis activists all the time that the civil rights. This is just a new civil rights fight now. The civil rights era. This is the 2026 civil rights era, however you want to call it. So you're going to have that come back. So I would agree with analysis of this part of it. Marcel Roman, or it is coming back already. Like you see, I've been filming it. Marcel Roman, a political scientist at Harvard, wrote by email precinct level analysis of predominantly Latino areas in New Jersey and Virginia during the 2025 election shows large swings back to the Democratic Party, which made generalized, and it's only going to be, this was before the federal raids. This was before those. And you had massive gains by the Democratic Party in local elections. And well, it's state elections too. Roman cited data showing how Taylor Remitt, a Democratic state candidate in Texas, won decisively, carrying the district's Hispanic electorate at 79%, compared with Kamala Harris's 53%. And that's another fact about the U.S. is, unfortunately, until something absolutely bad happens, or money or something, people don't change. Okay. Change does not happen unless Americans go through some shit. And that sucks. It sucks to say, but it's true. Throughout American history, we don't fucking change anything unless a catastrophe happens. Like this federal Operation Metro Surge and the others from last year around the country. And then the ones that are still going to happen. So that's why Kamala Harris why Democrats go from 53 to 79. And that's why I never understood the MAGA brain and how you could not comprehend how Joe Biden was at 81%. It's because of Trump. Do you want to know why Biden was at 81% in 2020? Because Donald J. Trump. That is why. Because of his presidency, because of fucking the COVID, because of the economy, because of name it. His whole first term was dog shit. He had Obama's economy and destroyed it. That's why the Democrats won in the midterms in 2018. And that's why Donald Trump fucking lost in 2020 plus COVID and his handling of it. And MAGA was like, how could Joe Biden have such 81? That's impossible. Stolen elections, because Americans were feeling that. In 2020, yes, it was a Black Lives Matter movement, but also you had Donald Trump personally, he had his agents out there in 2020. If you don't forget, especially in Portland, Oregon, that was the first taste of like masked federal agents I've ever had. That goes back to 2020. We're out there they had the Enterprise vehicles and the vans and just grabbing protesters. And that was the first time I was like, oh, we called them the Jump Out Boys back then. They would just pull up at the park in their van, open the door, grab someone protesting out there at the Justice Center, and then take them away. Right like that. And then Trump was able to activate the federal agents there because Portland, Oregon is a port city. So he had federal power. He had to find a loophole back in his first term to get the federal agents out there. And he did it. So I already saw it last in 2020 and out there outside the Justice Center. So you had that happen. It was a terrible term. Presidency was actually dog shit. Trump's first term, just like his second now, his first term sucked. His presidency sucked. That's why someone as mid as Joe Biden can have 81% in 2020. I voted third party in 2020. But I was like, yeah, when Biden won, I was like, yep, that makes sense. I didn't fucking be like, that can't be right. Are you joking me? Did you not pay attention to Trump's presidency? It's because MAGA is a cult and everything that Trump did was probably good. But for me, because I voted for him in 2016 and the president I voted for was not what we experienced in the first term. And that was good enough for me to be like, nope, no more. Trump's done. I'm not voting for him again. Hopefully the Republicans pick someone else. But obviously they didn't. And the rest is history. But Trump's first term himself was the reason why so many people were like, nah. And people that maybe didn't vote in 2016 and stayed out of it because we had Obama, and then now we're in a new era. And then when you enter new era politics of like two different candidates, people like don't care. So it was like, I don't know. What was it? It was Trump and Hillary. And Hillary was, I mean, yeah, not a good candidate either. To go against Donald Trump. I mean, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out Democratic Party politics. I don't know why they do what they do, but it's not good. Okay, but Hillary was fucking not a good choice as a candidate. Just not just establishment all around, and then that's why someone like Trump could fucking win in 2016 because it was on the inverse. But MAGA in their cult brain can't be like, oh, our president was actually so bad, and that's why Biden came out with 81%. The same thing is going to happen this year. You've had Trump districts flip that was at like plus 20, like fucking plus 15 districts plus, and they're going to flip. They're going to flip blue because of Trump, because of the actions that they are conducting. No stolen. They're going to come, and their MAGA is going to say stolen. They're going to come out with all a bunch of cope shit. No, everybody loves the mass deportations. Remember the Gulf of America? Come on, you like the Gulf of America, right? Come on, guys. That was so good. Remember Elon? And like they're going to cope about it. They're going to cry. But it's because of Trump's own actions. And people have to find out. And it turns out the finding out part ends in death, destruction, and detention and deportation of your neighbors and people that you know. And people, it turns out, don't like that, I guess. It wasn't enough to be like threatened with it, but now that people experience that, that sucks, doesn't it? So the numbers are going to change and people are going to be more active in their voting, or they're going to be more aware, or maybe they volunteered to help a candidate now. Maybe they're politically active. You had people that had no idea what was happening now they do because of Donald Trump, because he forces it. When you have a president that commands attention, and every day he's got, last year, it's a different year now, but last year every day it was like Trump announces something. Trump has a major announcement, breaking news, and it would be some fucking deal for one of his billionaire friends, and like you're supposed to be excited about that. Oh, Trump's got a massive announcement today. Then you listen, he'd be an hour late, and then it's some contract with some billionaire, and like you're supposed to be excited for that, and that's supposed to be good for you. So all of that combined, the Epstein files, I think, could destroy him himself. But that is why you're going to be seeing percentages change, like dramatically change, because you had a uninteresting Kamala Harris in 2024, and also just really no fucking no hype at all. Like, could you imagine now if you had like the protests? Like, there should have been protests in 2024. There should have all the no kings. All of this shit you saw last year, and like you're going to see this year, because the next No Kings is in March. It's coming up real quick. So all of that is going to contribute to a fat fucking L for Republicans, because in 2020, also because of Donald Trump, you had protests in the street. You had people protesting in support of the Black Lives Matter protests, but also it was COVID and there was an election year, and I saw some people just out there to protest Trump. Most people were, out there for Black Lives Matter, but there were some people already kind of showing up back in 2020 to be out there because Trump was president and the election was coming. These protests, the No Kings protests, are solely focused on that. Like, they have working class issues that are brought up, and like people, like union leaders come, civil rights leaders come to them, which is cool. But like the No Kings protests and these massive like coordinated protests that happen are designed to be anti-Trump and only be against Trump now. And so when you had already a Joe Biden with 81% in 2020, with a protest movement that wasn't really focused on the politics, it was focused on black lives being gunned down by the police, right? And like no accountability there. So that's what those protests were about. But there were already some people and some Democratic politicians that were capitalizing off of the protests, whatever. But now you have an entire movement of thousands and tens of thousands of people solely focused against Trump now. And like, that's it. And I'm so happy to actually see that other issues are being incorporated in, working class issues, but it's not going to go well for them. And that's why I'm like, I really hope we have elections, man. I really hope so. I really hope they don't just pull the lever and be like, no more elections, full fascist mode. I really hope not. So compared with the Catalyst estimate that Harris barely won among Latino voters, Equus found that Democrats in October of 2025 held a double-digit lead over Republicans. That makes sense because you already had the ICE raids already started. You had the one ICE raid here in Minnesota and Minneapolis last year, and that was a targeted raid, I guess. But Kristi Noem was out there with Nick Shirley doing propaganda. So the Latino community especially has been feeling these increased ICE raids since Trump took power last year. And now it's obviously so bad. And the surge, and now more communities are being affected. On a cautionary note for Democrats, the report also reported that despite dissatisfaction with Trump, Democrats have not managed to improve their favor. That makes sense too. Because it's not good enough now to just be the other than. And I think I've already ranted enough about that on this stream. But that makes sense. That goes back to everything I've already been telling you about how the Democratic Party needs to be progressive and not fucking mid. There are clear indications that Trump's loss of support among Latino voters will have political consequences this November. Hopefully. In Texas, Politico reported a Republican congressional redistricting plan designed to add 5 seats to the party is now in danger because of threats to Republican and so what if they're going to add 5 seats, but what if the Republicans don't win? Then you add 5 more seats to the Democrats. So they're like, well, we better not add 5 seats because they might go to the Democrats now because of how bad the politics are. That's crazy. Backlash to President Trump's immigration crackdown is putting vulnerable Republicans in a tough spot, forcing them to shift their tone to appease frustrated Hispanic voters. How do you do that though? You can't undo what you've done. You can't undo the operations and the mass deportations that I'm sure even like the Latino males that voted for this thinking that they were just going to go after the criminals. Clowns, all of them. With the border secure and Latinos responding to ICE raids and government overreach, said Mike Madrid, a Republican strategist. What's that like? What's it like to be a Republican strategist? Just post memes all day? Told Politico the districts that Republicans thought were their future a year ago are likely to be their undoing. Damn. He added that it's hard to find another situation in the past 50 years where a political party has squandered a generational opportunity like this. It's because it's white nationalism. There's no room for black and brown bodies in a white nationalist movement. Are you actually kidding me? Let's go back in time and ask the Nazis, hey, do you guys have room for a black and brown coalition amongst the Gestapo? They're trying to. They're putting them out there in ice and shit. But beyond that, when it comes to power in the country, nope. ICE agents are yes men too. Like you had back in World War II, the Nazis and the SS and the Gestapo had a lot of power. They had a lot of their own individual power that they could carry out. Here, they do that on individuals here in modern day with ICE agents stripping rights individually away. But like right now, that entity is still cucked to like what Trump wants and is still, or like DHS, right? They're not really doing their own thing yet. Like the Bovino was the first like character where I've seen like he would do whatever the fuck he wants and take his group of border patrol and go out there, wear the trench coat, be that like Nazi, like we're going to do whatever the fuck we want because we can. And that's really scary to see. So because of that, you've destroyed any movement that you did have with black and brown communities that voted Republican. What does the demographics and partisan data show? The next 2 sets of elections nationwide this year and in 2028, which again would be the midterms and then the 2028 election, will determine the scope of the damage Trump has inflicted on his party's coalition. You got to remember, Trump didn't even care about the Republican Party. If the Republican Party was not going to nominate him in 2020, he was going to run, or 2016, he was going to run independent. That was a whole drama. With him because you had Republicans back in 2015-16 that thought it was a joke before they became into a cult. They thought, oh, Trump is running? LOL. That's funny. Oh, he's owning the libs. Okay. Oh, well, we like that, but I don't know. I don't think he's going to win or whatever. So I don't know. We'll see. But he certainly does not care about the Republican Party as like a party that is a U.S. institution and has politicians in it that represent Americans. He doesn't give a doesn't give a fuck about that at all. So I know this analysis is like also providing the future of the Republican Party. The Republican Party died. The Republican Party died in 2016, but like even more so in 2020. And then when they doubled down and chose Trump as their leader again. So the Republican Party has been dead. That is never coming back. So, but the analysis is still like trying to preserve the Republican Party and like what's future. It doesn't have one. Without Trump, without Donald Trump, the Republican Party is cooked. Without MAGA, the Republican Party is losing everything all the time, never winning again. Without MAGA and this fascism and all of it, all of the yuckiness that you see and the influencers around it, without them, the Republican Party would never win again, never ever. And so right now that you have all these influencers likely involved in the Epstein files and Donald Trump's presidency, it's hurting extra hard now, extra hard. I mean, it's really so. But like I told you, Trump moves like he doesn't even need the Republican Party. He told them what to do from Mar-a-Lago. I already said that earlier. But he told the Republican Party what to do, who to vote for, how to vote while he was in the shadows. He doesn't fucking need that party. He doesn't need any of them. He's got his own thing. He's got his own people now. This is Trump 2.0. The survey showed Trump's ratings among black voters falling from 36% favorable and 55% unfavorable in February 2025 to 32%. So yeah, it's all going down. Put another way, Trump's net favorability fell by 13 percentage among black voters and 14 points among Latinos. But Trump will not be on the ballot in 2026 or 2028. Really? Who else do they have? Just like I'm like Democrats, which ones? There are some good ones. But when it comes to Republican Party, like I just said, there is no Republican Party without MAGA and without Trump. They're done. There is nothing. Every single Republican, minus now Rand Paul-ish and Massey, and Marjorie Taylor Greene quits, but she's not in office anymore, right? She quits. But like there's no one. There's nothing. There is literally nothing. It's MAGA and Donald Trump and whoever they choose. It's kind of like the invert. It's kind of like obviously Democratic Party. We had issues with that, but in the right wing, you got a cult. You got a full cult of Donald Trump, and without him, they're cooked. So I don't know. They put up? I bet you at best in 2028, it's JD Vance, and not best in terms of vote for this, like best for MAGA and the Republican Party. It's probably JD Vance with Donald Trump still like proxy controlling the party from Mar-a-Lago. That's likely what's gonna happen. Yeah, obviously, the worst would be Trump keeps himself on the ballot and runs a third term, and our constitution's destroyed, and America devolves into complete, absolute 1984 fascist world, and that would be terrible. It's already getting there. It's bad, but at best, I think it's JD Vance while Trump is like has his fist up his butt and he's like a puppet the whole time, the entire time, not just a little bit of the time, the whole time. And that's probably like the best case scenario if you're gonna like even consider right wing shit, which you shouldn't. This is where the numbers become murky. Just a month ago, second term. Okay, blah blah blah. Survey found black voters 56%. Okay. I don't trust these. I don't trust the surveys or that shit. So, how about the changing views of the black and Hispanic voters towards the Republican Party in the past 10 months of the surveys? Black voters became decisively more negative. I mean, yeah, I don't know. So I really don't know who they poll for these numbers, but you can see it yourself based on the actions of the administration, the vibe. If you pay attention to any politics at all, if you're like awake a little bit, you can tell that the populism is not with the Republican Party or Donald Trump, especially amongst black and Latino voters. And these are numbers that also provide that, but I don't know where they get because they had Kamala winning the election in 2024. They had Hillary winning the 2016 election. I remember that one. Did it happen? what's her name? The Iowa lady. We got the Iowa poll or whatever. Fuck, I remember all that. That was so bad. The Iowa poll says Kamala is going to win by like 20 points or whatever. Terrible. Okay, the latest on ice in Minnesota again, just at the end here. So one big thing that's happening is that the FBI is not providing the BCA or our state investigators any evidence to be able to investigate Alex Pretty shooting. So that's still not happening. The FBI will not provide BCA access to evidence gathered from Alex Pretty. I had a couple people asking me about this before the stream started. Like, what's the latest on the Alex Pretty investigation? Well, here you go. More cover-ups. Minnesota criminal investigators have again been denied access to evidence and other materials collected by federal authorities after the fatal shooting of Alex Pretty, state officials said Monday. The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension had been shut out of the investigation from the outset. The BCA continued to seek access to evidence while the state conducts its own probe. BCA Superintendent Drew Evans said Monday that the FBI formally notified the state on Friday that it won't grant the access. It will not grant it. Alex Pretty, an ICU nurse, was murdered by Border Patrol agents as Pretty filmed their immigration actions in Minneapolis on January 24th. Several agents piled on Alex as they sought to handcuff him before they opened fire. At least two officers fired multiple shots. Pretty died at the scene. While this lack of cooperation is concerning and unprecedented, the BCA is committed to thorough, independent, and transparent investigations of these incidents, even if hampered by a lack of access to key information and evidence. Our agency has committed to the FBI and Department of Justice that should its stance change, we remain willing to share information that we have obtained with the agency and would become a joint investigation. We will continue to pursue all legal avenues to gain access to relevant information and evidence. State investigators have also been denied cooperation with two other probes into shootings by immigration authorities, including the deadly encounter with Minneapolis resident Renee Macklin Good. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz echoed on Monday the importance of the BCA receiving access to evidence. Minnesota needs impartial investigations into the shootings of American citizens. So make it happen. Do it. Tell them, make it happen. I don't know, man. Be like a Minnesotans. I don't know. In my America, if I was the governor, I'd be like, yo, nobody pays federal taxes. I don't care. That's what I would say. I don't know. They'd probably send like the IDF after me or something. Can't say that. They got to pay their tax. They got to pay their federal taxes. I don't know. If I was governor, though, I'd be like, no, don't give them a dime, and we'll compensate you or something. I don't know. That America doesn't exist, though. I say go with what you have, then you'll find out. I mean, that's all they can do. That's really it. All right. Okay, guys. I think that's all I really have for you guys today. Damn. I was only gonna do like an hour or two stream, turned into 3.5 hours. Lots to talk about, but there's importance around the ICE raids that are still ongoing. ICE has not left Minnesota. The DHS spokesperson is leaving because it's been so bad. Public opinion has turned. We went into extensive evidence as to the public opinion turning. We had a video of John Oliver that I reacted to that was good, and other supporting evidence of the public opinion waning, voting coming up for the midterms and how that's going to look. And we'll talk about more this week. I'll get back out there onto the streets, guys. Got more protests coming up. Got more stuff happening, so I'll be out there, and I'll keep you guys updated. You got, Tim Walz is, never mind. Nah, I'm not interested in that. But tonight, I'm going to be live on my gaming channel. I'm going to see if there's a press conference we can watch, but I'm not interested in policies right now. So come on over and check us out. Mercado Gaming tonight. Maybe we can get to 11,000 subscribers tonight. But we got gaming, Red Dead Redemption 2. I'll get it scheduled here, and it'll be at 7:15 Central, 8:15 Eastern. So tonight we're going to be on part 4 of Red Dead Redemption 2. Come on over and check it out on the gaming channel. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I appreciate all of your guys' time. You guys support independent media. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you could. Make sure your notification bell is on. Thank you, Twitch, for watching. Appreciate all my Twitch. Thank you, everybody that became an Ivy Cowboy for the Tier 1 Twitch subscriber. Thank you, Jay Wright, for following. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you to Facebook for watching. Thank you, Juan. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Join the Discord server. Follow on all the things. Come check out gaming tonight. You guys aren't going to want to miss out. See you guys in the next one. Peace.